Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Good morning to you. It is the start of the weekend. Well, actually, probably for most of you, it was the start of the weekend yesterday, wasn't it? Given that it's Easter weekend, I hope you're in a festive spirit. It is my favourite Christian festival of them all. I know Christmas is good because you get to drink lots, you get to wake up in the morning and have a shot of Advocaat, for crying out loud. That ain't the way we do things at Easter. But Easter's just so special. It really kind of fills me with this sort of sense of renewal, more so than a new year. You know, Easter, I kind of the idea of resurrection, and it happens at springtime when, you know, the cycles of death and life are apparent, when the blossoms on the trees and the sun starts coyly poking its head out from behind a cloud. And I think there's something really beautiful as well about the fact that on this Easter, so first of all on this Easter, it actually marries up with the original dates of the crucifixion. Scientists have looked at all of the facts. They've used sort of interplanetary modelling to figure out when Passover was at the time of Jesus' birth, and then modelled it forward for 33 years, AD 33. And it is strongly believed, if not scientifically proven, that he would have been crucified on the 3rd of April. And so this year, the Easter calendar actually marries up with those days, which to me just feels really special. There's also something really quite magical about the fact that over this period of time, we have a shuttle of humans in Artemis II heading towards the dark side of the moon, and we are going to see, possibly even on Easter Sunday itself, the day that Jesus was resurrected to save all of mankind, the world's biggest selfie. That's right. I'm so excited to see the images of planet Earth, which is all of us. It's me, it's you, it's even the horrible people who want to blow us up. But, you know, unfortunately, they're going to be in the selfie, aren't they? But it is, I just think there's something really romantic about all of this. You know me, I'm a softie at heart. So there you go. Hope that's put a smile on your face. Right, let us do our housekeeping before we get on. The housekeeping, of course, is providing you with the digits that if you wish to have a conversation with me about anything we're talking about today, I would love to hear from you. It is your normal network rate. We're not charging you stuff. We're not making cash money off of you. No. And we also have the best customer services, because waiting to pick up the phone is Tommy Tiptoes himself. If you're lucky, he might do an Irish jig under the desk as he speaks to you. You probably won't be able to hear it, but you could just, you know, rest in confidence that that is taking place, that while he's taking down your details, his little legs are going at 1,000 miles per hour. The number is 03444991000. You can also use that number to send a WhatsApp message or leave me a voice note on WhatsApp. 87222 is the number if you'd rather send a text message. If you're feeling a little bit old-fashioned, that is okay. We don't judge here. If you're going to do that, before you write the main body of your text message, you have to write the word talk. Okay, most of you, if you're regular listeners, know that already. If you're brand new, hello, where have you been? We've been expecting you. What took you so long? You've been missing the best radio show in the history of the known universe. Well, probably not, but, you know, well, I'll do my best. OK, let's get serious now, because our top story is, of course, an extremely serious story, as we wait to be joined by Peter Barnes. I'm being joined at the moment instead by Matthew Preiser, a former White House official. I love interviewing Matthew. He is fantastic. Matthew, how are you doing this Easter?
Wow, Alex, you just made my Easter. Thank you. I'm doing great. I really love this holiday as well, so I'm feeling happy. Thank you.
Oh, good. Are you looking forward to the world's biggest selfie as well, as much as I am?
I love that. Yeah, I just got to figure out when I'll be waving all day long.
Do you know, it's funny, isn't it? I really have such positive feelings about America at the moment. I really, really do. I love what's going on with the space exploration. I love the fact that Donald Trump is taking control of geopolitics. Although, reading the newspaper headlines, I feel like it's down to the last person. It's just me who still thinks this is a good idea. But let's talk, first of all, about the relationship between Donald Trump and Sir Keir Starmer, who clearly doesn't think this war is a good idea because, well, the UK weren't prepared for it in terms of energy security. We're going to be at the sharp end of rising energy prices. But there's a sort of suggestion today, in, of course, a very left-wing newspaper in the United Kingdom, The Guardian. I don't even know if it's on my desk. I don't even think it gets delivered to this building. It's that left-wing. But the suggestion is that the special relationship has been broken forever now, that there is no trust between America and the United States, certainly between Donald Trump and Sir Keir Starmer. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, my feeling is that's probably been the case for quite some time.
Yeah, I am not worried about a long-term breakdown in the special relationship because it exists and has existed for a reason, right? Of culture, of geography, of history. And, you know, the Washington Post isn't even yet carrying the story. I didn't see it, at least this morning when I reviewed it. So I think from Washington's perspective, this is just Donald Trump being mercurial as always. I think he's feeling really irritated and aggravated that there doesn't seem to be a quick way for the U.S. to extricate itself from this war with Iran. And so he's lashing out. But he's lashing out at, you know, everybody. I mean, at Emmanuel Macron and at Friedrich Merz and, you know, leaders all over the world. So it's easy for me to say, but it's you know, nothing personal, I think. I think it's just a moment of frustration, and this too shall pass. However, having said that, I absolutely understand why from the UK this seems unbelievable. And to me, as a real Cold Warrior at heart, I can't imagine a US president saying that about a UK prime minister.
But you're right. I mean, look, Donald Trump is mercurial. But what saddens me in all of this is I was listening to the radio this morning, something I should try not to do other than to this station, but listening to a Green politician saying that the war was unjust and illegal. And I thought, well, hold on. I think it is justified. We spoke to a weapons expert, an Iranian nuclear program expert a week ago, who said, make no mistake, Iran were extremely close to being able to make nuclear warheads and potentially attach them to intercontinental ballistic missiles. That would have changed the shape of the entire world. We would have had terrorism internationalized. And so I think that it wasn't a chance that the world should have been taking. What saddens me is the Americans would have priced in the fact that Iran would play games with the Strait of Hormuz. That was anticipated. Why is it, do you think, that Europe are not helping right now? Because if all of Europe, if NATO got together and just said, look, Iran needs to be put back in their box, we get that, we're joining you in all of this, I don't think they would stand a cat in hell's chance.
Well, I agree with you. I also agree that the aim of eliminating this threat from Iran is one that had to happen. I mean, sort of like surgery, right? You know, you got to fix the problem, but you don't want to do it today. You don't want to do it tomorrow. You put it off as long as you can. The problem was execution. And the execution we're seeing play out now in terms of the U.S. not having enough military assets in the theater to pursue the military goals Trump is seeking, but also diplomatic execution. I mean, it's a little bit rich to launch a war that all your allies are saying don't do, and then be angry that and not consult them, and then expect them to show up, even though, as you say, rightfully, Alex, it is definitely in the interest of all of NATO and the world for the Strait of Hormuz to reopen, and together, of course, militarily, we could do a lot more. I think it's just a question of really the lack of consultation has angered European politicians, and it's made them look weak to their own domestic constituencies, and therefore they have to respond firmly. And I think also that certainly Prime Minister Starmer must believe that, you know, nobody was more polite and forward-leaning in accommodating President Trump than was he when he visited the Oval Office, early in the Trump administration and pulled that letter out of his pocket, inviting President Trump for another state visit. And it didn't work. Trump is still trying to intimidate him.
But at the same time, he might have coated up and been nice, but some of the vile things that his front benches have said about Donald Trump equally, Starmer himself, taking actions such as trying to give away the Chagos Islands to an ally of China. I mean, I'm fairly appalled by the way that Britain has behaved towards America recently. The difficulty is, of course, though, when you have allies of America in sort of nation-state form, not standing by America's side, it is surely a deterrent to the American public. It sort of sends a signal that they too should distrust the war. And I get the impression that this hunt for that poor missing pilot is going to be more critical than in a normal war setting, given that if Iran manage to find him, if he is alive, if they take him as a prisoner of war, they've got a very strong emotional negotiating chip, haven't they? How's this being spoken about in America? Is everyone glued to their screens in the hunt for the missing pilots? Is it beginning to have shockwaves and reverberations when it comes to how American people, and particularly because I know Democrats probably don't like the war anyway, but particularly Trump's base, how are they reacting to this news story?
Well, yeah, 60% of Americans, according to the most recent polls, are against the war and think the U.S. should not have used force. So that means some of Trump's base is included. And we're seeing Trump's MAGA base really split on the war. I mean, President Trump, when in his last election campaign, ran on a promise primarily to do two things: to lower inflation and to keep the U.S. out of, as he calls them, forever wars. And now the U.S. entrance to the war is actually pushing inflation up. So there are like some members of his base, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is a very outspoken former member of Congress from Georgia and a staunch Trump supporter, who are condemning the war. So as far as the pilot goes, yeah, you're absolutely right, Alex. I mean, that really is an issue that's so human, especially on this Easter and Passover weekend, that it is going to have an emotional impact on Americans. And hopefully, God willing, he'll be found quickly and rescued. But even beyond that, we're seeing support for the war falling in the United States. And President Trump, I think, is starting to get worried about his fate and the Republican Party's fate in November's midterm elections.
No one can really look into a crystal ball and anticipate what happens next. My suspicion, given that Iran they haven't really upped the ante in terms of showing that they've got scarier missiles than they're already using. I'd imagine that they will continue trying to just disrupt and wear down the current allies of America at this stage. But what are the options on the table for Donald Trump? Because if he just backs out now, well, the regime is pretty much still in place, and they will essentially be charging a gangster mafioso-style toll on the Strait of Hormuz. So that doesn't seem to be an option. Without regime change, where do we go from here? I feel like he's stuck now, caught between a rock and a hard place. I want him to be victorious. I want him to be successful. I'd love to see the regime in Iran collapse, but it just doesn't seem to be budging right now. What if you were advising him, what strategy do you think he should be taking?
Sure. Thank you. Yeah, and I agree. And I've long believed that things will not get better for the world or for the Iranian people until this regime is gone. But, we now have a much harder line Iranian regime than before February 28th, with the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, who are the most radical of them all, firmly in charge without the balancing features of the former Khamenei's so-called supreme leader. So if I were President Trump, I would counsel him to look for a negotiated settlement to the Strait of Hormuz issue, like, as a dear friend of mine writing for the New York Times, Aslı Aydın Taşbaş, wrote recently, like happened in Turkey, in the Turkish Straits, where the agreement was found that allows Turkey to maintain sovereignty over the Straits, the Turkish Straits, so Iran could have sovereignty over the Strait, but not be allowed to obstruct transit, except to prevent, in a time of war, military vessels that aren't based in the Gulf from passing the Strait of Hormuz. I think that's a negotiated settlement he should be looking at. But of course, the threat to use military force and even the use of military force, those are both diplomatic tools as well to shape the political and military environment to increase your negotiating leverage. But I would advise him to begin to de-escalate the rhetoric, end the insults on NATO allies like the United Kingdom, forge a partnership, not drive the UK Prime Minister into a situation where it seems to make sense for him, even at home, to convene 34 countries and not the United States to figure out how to clean up this mess in the Strait of Hormuz. So some rhetorical de-escalation, and then begin floating, no pun intended, a real proposal to allow Iran some sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz, but not control.
When America's engaged in the Middle East previously, it's largely been all about the war on terror. And to me, it seems that it's such a difficult thing to ever win, essentially. You cannot essentially bomb an ideology. But what we're reading today, I don't know if this is also in the United States, but reports that ISIS, because they didn't go anywhere, sadly, have urged its followers to set fire to churches and synagogues over Easter. They've said that they want to encourage their followers to attack Christians and Jews in Tunisia, Morocco, the UAE and Syria, America, of course, Australia, the United Kingdom. What is America on high alert about terrorism attacks at the moment? I mean, in the United Kingdom, we've just had 3 men charged today, or two men and a minor, with setting fire to Jewish ambulances in Golders Green in London. What is the situation like in the United States? Are people on the edge of their seats and worried that there could be any sort of homeland attack?
I don't think so much. I mean, it's nothing like, in the immediate aftermath of September 11th, 2001. It's always in the back of the minds of Americans that this is possible. There have been a lot of domestic terror incidents, especially against synagogues in the United States in recent years. And there's always fear of the sort of horrible terrorism in the form of shootings at schools, often by, usually by Americans who have nothing to do with extremist Islam. So that's always a fear out there. And parents are really sometimes afraid to send their kids to school. But in terms of readiness, I mean, in my experience in the U.S. government, the U.S. Law enforcement agencies and security services are always on top of this issue. They're always combing through all the threat information, and it's a lot easier to identify the threats now with the advent of AI tools. But we know there are sleeper cells all over the world of Al Qaeda and other terrorist groups. We know the Iranian regime has them based all over. So I think the best way forward is for people not to be paranoid and to enjoy their Passover and their Easter holidays, but of course, in the back of their minds, knowing, the U.S. services really are vigilant and they're pretty good at stopping these things.
That's very, very good to hear. Matthew, thank you so much for joining us. Have a wonderful, wonderful Easter. I really do appreciate you sacrificing your time over this most important of weekends. Right, folks, he's here. I can see him through the glass. His alarm didn't go off this morning. But in order to get him into the studio as fast as possible, there's a bacon and sausage sandwich over there on the desk waiting for Mr. Barnes. So as we get him mic'd up, shuffle him in, sit him down, put on a bib and start feeding him his breakfast meats, you go put the kettle on. We'll take a short break and see you on the other side.
Good morning to you. This is Tour the Home of Common Sense with me, Julia Hartley-Brewer. Just breaking news in the last couple of moments. Extraordinary news. Not just that the police have arrived at the Sandringham estate where Prince Andrew, as was now Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, is currently living since being thrown out of the Windsor estate. The police have arrested Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. It's an extraordinary revelation. And certainly what's been contained in the Epstein files as released in the last few weeks. It's his 66th birthday today. What a birthday present that is.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
You just went, oh, and showed me your wrists. Right? What's that about? Oh. Is that...
wait, are you calling me an antique?
Oh, no, don't make me laugh.
Sorry.
I'm rattling with guitar.
Oh.
It's in my lungs, and if I laugh, it sort of like dislodges it, and it finds its way into my throat, and then I'm going to have a
That's how the
coughing
Middle East
fit.
Sorry.
No, anyway, nice to see you.
Yes.
Got your sarnie?
Yes, I've got my sarnie.
Have you administered your ketchup?
Not yet, no. I feel like Ed Miliband. I got replaced by a bacon sandwich.
You did. Actually, that would have been quite a fun shot during
yeah.
that interview. A split screen while we interviewed Matthew Bison about war in Iran.
I know, yeah.
Me and my co-host, Sandwich.
Yeah.
Bap.
Oh my lord, no, literally, I woke up, sat down in the chair, and I thought, I do the classic, I'll have 5 minutes, and then I saw my phone going off. I was like, oh, Alex is ringing me, that's nice. I wonder what she wants. Oh, it's Saturday.
Yeah, what she wants is to hang out with you.
Yes, literally.
In the studio.
Yeah.
Well, you did very well to sort of turn around.
Yeah, I'm very impressed. I've got to say, that was not a cheap Uber.
Well, I have decided from now on, by the way, I'm saying it on air just to lock it in, that on Friday nights, I'll do my show on a Friday, and Fridays I'll come over yours, cook you some nice dinner. That's what I did for Samara yesterday. We've all got lurgy at the moment.
Yes.
So I cooked her a lovely spinach curry, because she's a vegetarian.
That always gets me, though.
Vegetarians just confuse me. But I do like a spinach curry. It's like full of iron, garlic, ginger, turmeric. I like spinach in particular. Basically, just medicine. Yeah. So I cooked a nice spinach curry at 9:30. It's like, night, off we went to bed. Not together, that would be strange. Samara's boyfriend was also there. We definitely were all in different... Well, shut up, Alex. Just going unnecessarily strange. It's your presence.
Yes.
But I think from now on I should just come and sleep over at your house, and then I can, alarm will go off, I'll knock on your door with a nice cup of tea.
Yeah. Well,
mobilise you, we can share a taxi.
My partner's an Italian chef, so...
Oh, well, I won't do the cooking.
Yes, yeah. I picked well.
How do you stay so frail?
I don't know. It's running around like a headless chicken most of the time seems to do it, but yeah.
See, it's all those... It's late night carbs. That's why you didn't... That's why you missed that alarm.
Yeah, there was one time, I think we stupidly had, like, cacio e pepe at, like, 4 a.m. or something like that. We were like, we're not doing this again. This is ridiculous. But no, it's... well, you're very welcome to stay. I'm not that far away. It's half 20 minutes.
This is it. Now, as I live in the Cotswolds now, I just sort of, invade people's spare rooms.
You've gone back to being a student, haven't you? But you're sofa surfing.
Basically, yeah. But this is why I come with offers. I bring bunches of flowers and scented candles and cooked dinners, and I try and make myself a nice presence. Yeah. I try and be a presence that people look forward to receiving.
Well, I would think that's a good thing to be in life anyway.
No,
I was going to say, there you go.
A blight upon a house.
Yeah.
I've just come up with a new thing that we can do at the weekends.
Oh, no, this is not good.
As well as the quiz.
Yeah.
Because Pete and I were just talking about the fact it was Nigel Farage's birthday yesterday, and I've known Nigel for 20 years, and I forgot to wish him happy birthday, and I felt a bit guilty for that. And then I thought, wonder what his star sign is. And I thought, maybe we should do politicians' star signs.
I know. Yes, I apologise now.
I know. Let's see. Should we find out what the week has in store for Nigel Farage?
I kind of really want to know now.
I know you do.
This is the thing.
And then we'll get some in the gallery to figure out, before every break.
We'll do
them all. We'll do Badenoch, we'll do Polanski, we'll do...
Ed Davey.
Oh, God.
I know.
And Starmer. Better not forget him. Or we could just, do anyone's, but let's find out. Nigel Farage is an Aries, according to Mystic Meg, with Maggie Innes, because Mystic Meg is no longer with us.
Yeah.
But it's still called Mystic Meg. I'm sure she's contributing from beyond the grave. Here we go. There's no hiding your sensual attraction power today. When you connect with a fashion fan Libra again, this time can be the real deal. So don't hold back.
Wow.
Maybe it's Lord Ali. Is he a Libra? Is he going to start moving his donations to another party? He's a fan of fashion.
I really hope Nigel rings in and says, I bought a new suit or something like that.
If already in love, cut short routine plans to spend hot passion time together instead.
Wow.
This is like paying dividends.
Yes.
Words you see today can make perfect sense of a mysterious dream.
Oh, a mysterious dream.
So there you go. Nigel, if I was Nigel, I'd be happy with that.
Yeah.
That's quite good, isn't it? Can't really moan.
Yeah, my favourite thing is next week we're going to have to go through the news to see whether that was accurate.
Oh God, no! If there's a sort of scandal in in this same newspaper,
Imagine
The
if
Sun.
we actually did that. We broke some massive scandal just by reading out a horoscope. Welcome to Britain in 2026.
Right, now how do we handbrake turn this? I know what we'll do, because it's a happy story, so we'll stay happy because we've done war. So we'll do happy, then we'll do quiz, advert break, and then we'll get miserable.
Okay.
So Artemis II.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah, you love it. Oh, you love it,
obsessed
Artemis
with
II.
it. I stayed up and watched The Lord. I watched all the launches recently.
I think I stayed up and watched The Lord.
No,
That's what it is,
The
Easter.
launch, yeah, I know. But I watch all of it. I'm obsessed with it, and I do not understand anybody that isn't obsessed with it. I think it's amazing. It is literally what the human race does. We look over the fence, we explore, we do the next thing. That is what this is.
Apparently we're talking to Andy Lounge, the space expert, at 12:30.
This is going to be the best day ever.
Yeah, it is.
Sorry,
it
my
really
inner
is.
nerd
But,
loves this
So
stuff.
my thoughts on Artemis are thus. I love stuff like this. Alex loves technology. Alex loves fast things. Alex likes jets. Alex likes fossil fuels. Alex likes aliens. You know, basically a teenage boy in a sort of woman's body. But all this stuff is really up my strata. But I've got a couple of thoughts on it. First of all, why has it taken so long? And second of all, everyone's like, wow, this is so impressive. And I'm like, but we got to the moon with a calculator like 50 years ago.
Yeah, that's always...
Can you... I can't square this circle, because I don't want to join the whole, like, we never actually went to the moon. That was lies.
No,
it was the Cold War, and they were just, What's the conspiracy theory? Stanley Kubrick directed it, and they're, like, bouncing around in some studios.
Yeah. So the thing behind that is the fact that he filmed... what's the film? In Space Nobody Hears Your Scream. I can't think what the film is called. The famous film that he did, he used the lenses that they used...
Clockwork Orange?
No.
Oh, that's the only one I know.
It's the one set in space. A Space Odyssey.
Ah.
And basically, he used the lenses that they used on the moon. So that's so they could film in such darkness and all the rest of it.
Oh, really?
This is where the conspiracy comes from. And he actually helped them kind of... shoot the kind of practice moon landings and all the rest of it. That's what all that footage actually is. So obviously people kind of jump on it because they need something not to be true. But the reason it's taken so long is it's not really been financially viable.
It's an expensive thing. It's more than taking Great Western Railway, and that's saying something.
I mean, yeah. But the thing is also, there's not really been an incentive till recently, and a lot of it is actually to do with kind of the industrialization and the weaponization of space. So, there's this thing on the moon called regolith, which is...
Yeah, I love how much stuff you just know. I just sit back and I'm like, this is why we have you. We don't mind if you slept in and late. We still know we're going to get good stuff.
So basically, regolith is like an ASEA bowl for supercomputers. It's like it's like a superfood. They love it. It's great.
Oh, so it's like a rare moon mineral.
Yes, exactly. And there's a little bit on that was brought back the last time somebody went. I think it was actually the Chinese. Oh, they actually came to the UK.
Ah, because the Indians went down south, didn't they? They landed down south because that's where stuff is. Is that the regolith?
That's basically
the regolith bit of the moon.
Yeah, and a lot of this, what it here is, they're kind of doing the mapping to see what they can find from where they are, but also it's to test about going to Mars. It's about can they can sustain for so long and all the testing, all the equipment. This is basically just a big test flight more than anything. And so it's very interesting. But this is what a lot of the kind of move for Greenland was actually about with Donald Trump, because it's the geometric closest point to the satellite connections. So that's why they wanted Greenland, which is to do with the satellites, which is why the Ukraine war is actually classed as the first war in space because of the importance of the the upper layer of apparatus.
Well, also, I mean, even Iran are using space tech, intercontinental ballistic missiles. They go out of the Earth's atmosphere and come back down, or the satellites, the GPS locations. I tell this all the time on this show because it's a fact of which I'm very proud. But my grandfather, Roy Phillips, geologist who was at Durham University and various universities in America, was a part of the team that studied the very first rock samples brought back from the moon.
Amazing. That's a really cool fact. That's a very cool fact.
That's very cool. My dad's got a lovely black and white picture and we're sitting there with their bits of moon. Although I'm not sure how I feel about mining the moon. I don't know. It's a bit like, leave it alone, it's nice.
Yeah, so basically it's this idea of, do you want Star Wars or Star Trek? Is basically do you want to do the whole we'll boldly go where no man has gone before, or everybody could be fighting with each other and there might be, space wizards?
Oh, definitely. I'm definitely more of a Trekkie than a war-y.
Yeah, so this is basically what a lot of the kind of US foreign policy is actually about, ending everything here, because that's the next mission. That's the next frontier. This is the next fight. This is where America first comes through. It's America first out of space. And it's all this idea, Well, if you read a lot of what comes out of the State Department, they make it very clear, but everyone pretends, no, there's no plan, but there you go.
This is the latest thing, is it? What is that plan? It's like they expect someone to, do press conferences unveiling state secrets and classified information every 5 seconds to satisfy armchair enthusiasts.
Winston Churchill wasn't giving interviews in the Times about what he was going to do about, Dunkirk.
Exactly. I'm mildly worried for TechOp today.
Oh.
Because you said both Star Wars and Star Trek in the same sentence, and TechOp's face didn't light up. I'm really concerned. That's unusual. I thought he loved all that stuff.
Yeah, well, the idea is that...
You right, TechOp?
Are you right, Tech?
You good?
Yeah.
Very quiet.
But...
Which is your favourite? Are you Star Trek or Star Wars?
We can't ask a man that.
Trek.
Oh.
I thought it'd be a Trekkie more than a Maury. Right, shall we get on with our quiz? By the way, fascinating information about the moon. I loved it. I'm now going to get obsessed about Rigoleth. This is going to be my new wormhole.
It's basically, it's a superfood, and they love it, and it's very, very expensive, it's very rare, and that's why everybody's clamouring to go and get it. There's a very small sample that came to the UK, and the insurance on it was astronomical.
Superfood for what now?
So basically, it kind of cools them down. You kind of make it out of... You make the components out of it, and it cools everything down because they move so fast and they get so hot. That's why they kind of burn out. And we're actually not far from the UK centre of quantum computing. It's literally over the river.
Yeah, where they're going to build that Chinese embassy.
Which is why the Americans were furious, because it's where most Western work is actually done. And there's that.
We can talk about that AI thing as well that's been put on hold. Right, here we go. Shall we get on with the Times Saturday quiz? Olaf Bjortont.
Oh God, this man is haunted.
A quiz within a quiz.
This is why I was late.
Is that Ride of the Valkyries?
No, it's the Dance of the Montagues from Romeo and Juliet.
Oh, right, okay.
It's the Apprentice music.
This is why I should not be going on Mastermind anytime soon. How does Ride of the Valkyries go? Can we have that one teed up for the future? Because I can't remember. I'm getting them all muddled in my head. Right, Sam Ryder will play Jesus in a new production of which Andrew Lloyd Webber rock opera? That's a tough one, isn't it? They always start off like this. If you're new to the show, don't you sit there thinking, I'm going to boss this one. Well, we'll see. Oh, goodness, I've just seen what the picture one is as well. Never mind.
My favourite bit of the day.
Favourite bit is when I get to the picture round and I have to try and just describe it.
Over the radio.
Which boy's name represents O in the NATO phonetic alphabet? And because we didn't manage to do one before the last... advert break, let's squeeze in a third. Okay. Which prehistoric monument in Wiltshire was the subject of a 2022 British Museum exhibition? OK, hope you've heard those loud and clear. We're going to take a short break and the answers will duly follow. See you in a moment.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Is this the one last week that we thought was Vienna by Ultravox, but it wasn't?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a tension bed.
Who is it?
Well, it's just a tension bed. Which is sort of, jargon in the industry for a musical sound that you play underneath something to make you feel like it's a tense moment. A tension bed. Okay, which, as we've learned from his star sign, Nigel Farage doesn't have. Sam Ryder will play Jesus in a new production of which Andrew Lloyd Webber rock opera?
Jesus Christ Superstar.
Surely that is...
I guess that has to be correct.
Oh, God, my pen's got stuck in Cape Canaveral. There we go. Which boy's name represents O in the NATO phonetic alphabet?
Oscar.
Correct.
Right.
And which prehistoric monument in Wiltshire? Just don't need to bother saying anything else, do you?
Yeah, Stonehenge.
Stonehenge,
It
correct.
kind of has to be. But that's one of those
There you go.
questions that would have tripped me up. Do you know what I mean? Because it's that obvious. You're like, is there anything else in Wiltshire? Not offensively to Wiltshire, but like, is there anything else that it could
Porton
possibly
Down.
be? Oh, because Porton Down's there.
That's number one of the places I want to visit.
Yeah.
Do you want to know
You're not allowed in Porton Down for everyone's safety.
Do you want to know Sir Keir Starmer's star sign? This is so funny because
Go on.
Nigel's star sign is all about you're going to have some days of hot passion, sensual attraction. Starmer, this is classic, right? So Starmer's a Virgo, apparently. Wait for this. It's so funny. Feeling you want to speak, even in a situation that you've been silent for so long.
Oh my God.
Is a sign from your chart that you should heed, even if your pride says no. Your heart is ready to reach out, and this can make any approach successful. Only say what you mean. No hidden agenda. Luck draws a circle of squares.
Well, that last bit's very delightfully cryptic. I love that. But the idea that, he has to tell the truth, that's a different...
Well, the idea that he's been not getting involved, being silent for too long, and it's time to reach out. Donald Trump's waiting for your call, according to Mystic Meg.
Yeah.
Which actually segues us nicely back into the news, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the war. I've been an enthusiast of taking down Iran. I firmly believe it probably had to happen.
Yeah.
I think it was too much of a risk to allow them to develop more intercontinental ballistics, nuclear technology. We had that brilliant weapons expert on last week. But it, like all wars, there are consequences. It's very rare for a country to go into another country, blow up its stuff, leave, and nothing else happens. And I think that, Trump's job has been made very difficult by the lily-livered nature of Europe. But the consequences are now far and wide. The consequences are not just in terms of the Strait of Hormuz and an energy crisis looming particularly in this country, but also people talk about the special relationship, but the future of NATO.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on all of this? Because, Trump has... If you look back at what Trump has said historically, and I'm talking about way before he even became president of the United States, he has long been a critic of NATO. He has for a long time thought, why is America basically the only one paying out for an insurance policy for Western peace?
Yeah, an insurance policy it does not need in reality. I think this is the brutal honesty of it, because he is 60% of NATO. That's I think 61% of funding for NATO comes from America. So the idea that this is some equal partnership is not. The thing about the Iran crisis is it's shown, already kind of crisis. It's shown there is rank. And that there's a hierarchy. It's like who can actually do things, and this is the big thing that I think Trump has really kind of shown the world, is that a meeting isn't action, and that's all that Europe wants to do. I mean, let's be real. When the first day of this Iran crisis, Europe went, "We'll have an emergency meeting." On Monday, 3 days later. I mean, they wanted the weekend.
That was so crazy.
And I thought that is the perfect demonstration of what Donald Trump is talking about.
Yeah.
Because basically he needs Europe to get its act in order, because America's focus has always been the South China Sea and the Pacific area. It's not really anything to do with Putin or...
But it has exposed the truth about Starmer, because, when Trump says, look, are you going to come and help us? And he's like, I don't know, I've got to ask everybody else first.
Yeah.
His approach to everything has been, we'll conduct an inquiry and I'll do whatever the inquiry says.
That line. That's the line. I will do what somebody else tells me to
Exactly.
do. This is why he wants back in the EU. I don't.
Who is running this country?
I don't.
Who is it?
Whoever
because
tells
it ain't
them
him.
to. Yeah. But this is the thing. I think everybody is kind of running each other because none of them want to make a decision because they're all in the same boat. If you look at Germany, France, Italy, the debt crisis there is just as bad as we've got, if not worse in some cases. And then they have a paralysis because they're managers, they're not leaders. We're stuck with this middle management of a kind of failing factory in the middle of the country somewhere. That's how I kind of imagine it, of just people going, let's have a Colin the Caterpillar cake and we'll all, we'll wait for the factory to close, and that's our life. And I think we need to get out of that. We need somebody with some vision and some leadership and some idea of what Trump has got.
Well, it would be nice if we actually had a politician.
Yes, a leader, a statesman. Somebody that understands that politics is leverage.
Is there anybody in Europe who you'd give a gold star to?
I think the closest is Maloney.
Not that thing again.
That was not me, to be fair.
That carpet, that wooden plank's fallen down again. This time it didn't take out my shit. I didn't even touch it. I swear to God, I wasn't even wiggling or kicking my feet.
Say, between you and Mark Dolan, I'm surprised his studio's still standing.
I hate that thing. I don't know if it was. No, it was last Sunday. I was sitting here doing Weirdo of Paul Cox, and that plank of wood under my desk fell down and took a chunk out of my leg.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Can we just
I know exactly the piece you're on about.
Next week, can you get in instead of 10 minutes, like 10 minutes earlier, some spanners and drills and screws? Because there's a lot of DIY that he's doing.
I'm not really the DIY kind of guy, but yes.
And once you've finished in the studio, can you go and look at our ships, our naval vessels, because they're good.
A perfect example of everything wrong with NATO and the UK and Europe, and why Trump is right to behave in the way that he is. Because it's important to notice that America's been trying to get Europe in, to get its house in order for a long time. Even Obama was saying a lot of this stuff. Yeah. Obviously not in the way that he was doing it, but behind the scenes, the Obama administration was saying, what are you doing? Because they all knew this kind of world was coming.
It's so crazy because the solution to me is actually very simple, which is you just move a big chunk of money that you're currently spending on regretfully high amounts of welfare into defence. And actually, a lot of those people go, can't find a job, I don't know. Well, join the army.
Yes.
I think, we've decimated our armed forces. We've almost halved them since the Falklands conflict. And now you've got a whole tier of people, 18 to 25-year-olds, who are not in employment, who don't necessarily have the requisite skills and training to enter the workforce. We've imported so many people into the lower ends of our labour market, undercutting wages. So what could you do with this sort of bulk of people who are currently underemployed? The armed forces.
Well, the reality is that is all they're also basically trained to do, because our education system is that terrible. They're not even qualified to do the jobs that we actually need people to do in the manufacturing and the industrial base, because that's what Europe and the UK has got to do first. We've got to build the factory before we build the tanks. We're so far behind. It's actually laughable. And this is the big thing about America. They've got the industrial kind of capacity just about to keep, if there is a proper war, I know everybody has to get involved. They're the only ones that can keep doing it.
Now, have you seen the story? I don't think it's in my list today, but about OpenAI were going to come and build a massive data centre up in Tyneside, huge old thing in connection to some power station, whatever. Because I don't have the printed out material in front of me. I'm just inventing words now. And it's sort of been put on hold. It was a huge multi-million pound, massive investment.
It was part of the economic prosperity deal when we signed with America, when Trump and all that nonsense. When people thought it was a free trade deal, that's not a free trade deal. But yes, so this is also more to do with OpenAI. Realistically, they kind of went in for a huge amount of money that they wanted to kind of reinvest in everything. But ChatGPT has basically been crumbling and falling apart. A lot of users are leaving. They have to put adverts on it. They're going through a whole thing.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and then
why so?
Basically because they're so far behind. The AI race is basically charging ahead, and ChatGPT was so far ahead they kind of got a bit lazy a little bit, and everybody else is suddenly caught up massively. And then you've got people like Elon Musk that is just making everything open source. So you don't have to research it yourself. He's literally putting it all on the internet, and everybody else is caught up massively. Gemini, which is the Google one, they connected it to the search engine, so therefore they've got access to 3/4 of the internet.
All the data sets.
So they've been able to catch up incredibly fast. And the ChatGPT, whilst it is still good in a lot of areas, it's not as good as the new one, which is basically, it's called Claude by Anthropic, and which is the one that the US are using to do the targeting and the drones and all the rest of it.
Well, it's interesting. We were speaking to Matthew Bizer earlier on, former White House official. We're talking about this story about a terror threat over Easter from the usual suspects, ISIS. And he was saying, well, you know, now in America we're using AI and it makes it so much easier to detect terror plots.
Yes.
And I'd assume that we are doing the same here because we do have great intelligence agencies. But, you know, when I look at these things, it should be an easy win. In terms of our universities, we're some of the best when it comes to developing fintech AI.
Yes.
It should be an easy win for the UK to be up there hand in hand with America, who are leading all of this. And yet, we've got one of the biggest companies, you know, wanting to invest here. It's been put on ice. I'm assuming it's put on ice because of, I don't know, ridiculous...
Energy cost.
Yeah, I was going to say energy cost would be a massive part of it.
Oh, yes.
And I'd imagine a load of red tape as well.
It's the cost of energy. It's Ed Miliband is yet again costing this nation.
What's he going to do about all these various oil fields, roads, lands, all the...
Oh, do you know, he'll do exactly what he did with the runway. He'll say it's green somehow and, you know, abandon his principles like he always does. Do you remember
I hope he does.
Yeah, well, he doesn't have a choice, really, realistically, because everyone's like always coming around to the answers like, no, that man is still wanting to be leader and he's trying to buy friends in the cabinet. That's all that is.
I really like some of the romantic names they give to gas and oil fields.
Oh, I do, yeah.
It's almost as good as the shipping forecast. I mean, there's a lot of names out there in the ocean.
I know.
A lot of good names.
But then I still like the fact that, you know, when it comes to the street gritters, that we give them funny names.
Do we?
Yeah.
Like what?
You were going to ask me that. Now they've all gone out of my head. You know, they had like, you know, they always had these competitions, don't they? Local
Gritter Thunberg.
Yeah, that one. Those kind of things.
I just invented that. Would you like it?
Those ones. I always loved those.
Grit Eckland.
It's like the boat face.
Cool Britannia.
That's a good one.
Right.
Yeah.
On that, we're not going to be doing the politician staff lunch just now, but we are going to be continuing with our quiz into the next advert break. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll do another batch of 3 to catch up with ourselves.
Riding the Valkyries.
There we go. I mean, there's a sort of homophonia to the two.
A little bit.
Well, to me there is. Maybe it's because I'm sort of sinusy and my ears are all clogged up. Okay, which ukulele-playing comedian was born George Hoy Booth in Wigan in 1904?
That's where I'm from.
I know. I knew you know exactly.
Yeah. I'm not allowed back if you don't know the answer.
The Norfolk Wherry, spelled W-H-E-R-R-Y, wherry, is a type of boat designed to navigate which network of shallow rivers and lakes? And which 1678 John Bunyan work's title is completed by From This World to That Which Is to Come? Which 1678 John Bunyan's work's title, that's kind of, it's written strangely, that question, is completed by From This World to That Which Is to Come. OK, the answer's coming up just after this.
Brand new for 2026. It's going to be the only way to start your day. It's the home of common sense. It's where the nation can come to speak about the day's news. It's the Jeremy Kyle Breakfast Show. You know who you are. You get up, you graft, you work hard. I'm here for you. We want to hear your side. Promise you one thing. It is where the nation can and will come to talk. The Jeremy Kyle Breakfast Show, weekdays from 6 a.m.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Right, tension bed. Which ukulele-playing comedian was born George Hoy Booth in Wigan in 1904?
George Formby.
Of course it was.
If you could see what I could see when I'm cleaning windows.
I like George. I like ukuleles.
Yeah.
Which Norfolk Wherry? The Norfolk Wherry is a type of boat designed to navigate which network of shallow rivers and
I
lakes?
have no idea. I genuinely have
The
no
Norfolk what? The Norfolk
Broads?
Yes.
Oh, is it actually?
Yes.
Oh,
I can't believe you didn't get that one.
Yeah.
You're one down on yourself.
I am one down.
Early stages as well. It's not good to be one down in the easy questions.
I'm flushed because I was late.
And which 1678 John Bunyan works title is completed by From This World to That Which is to come?
It's Pilgrim's Progress.
It is Pilgrim's Progress. There we go. Congratulations to you. Now let's do some messages and then we'll round up on a little chit-chat about Kemi Badenoch. So someone's just messaged me going, we have a huge number of white working class boys and men who can't get a job. You want them to join the forces who don't actually want them, and you want them to defend all of the people that have come here and taken the jobs they could have had. No. Don't get me wrong on this. I don't think people should have come here and taken those jobs in the first place. Anyone who knows me knows that I believe that. But I'm saying we've done a disservice to a lot of the white working class boys because we've reduced our armed forces, because we've brought DEI into the armed forces, because we've undercut their wages in the jobs they otherwise would have had. And before anyone says, oh, what, so now you want to send them onto the front line? No, not necessarily that either. There are plenty of jobs in the armed forces, from logistics to intelligence to all sorts of things. And for a lot of people, I think they have found it hugely productive and a great shaper of their lives.
Yes,
and someone says, hi, Alex, what about bringing back national service? As an ex-serving member of HM Forces who volunteered to join up in 1990 and did 12 years in the RAF, due to the amount of unlawful migration, is the country now in a position of danger? I think without a doubt.
See, my thing with this is, I remember in 2024 when Rishi Sunak offered a national service policy and everybody was like, this is stupid, this is rubbish, all this kind of stuff. And I think it was just he was the wrong messenger.
I think he was. Some of the UK left's favourite nations, Scandinavia, aren't they wonderful, have national service.
Yeah, there's more people in London than there is in most Scandinavian countries. The idea that we keep comparing ourselves to them is just nonsense.
I mean, we need... national service brings fitness, which a lot of people don't seem to have much of, hierarchy and discipline, structure, patriotism. I think it'd be a very useful thing for this country.
I think we need to expand what we understand by national service as well, because it could be the armed forces, but it could actually be, working in ambulance driving. There's ways to serve the nation that the nation needs help in. That's beyond being on the front lines. I think we have such a narrow understanding because I think we all think it's Dad's army. Yeah. And we have to get out of that idea.
We do.
If you look around the world, obviously with the IDF, it's slightly different, but there's lots of bits within the IDF.
Well, this is it. In other countries, when you go to Belgium, the army sort of join up with the police in protecting citizens on the streets. Yeah. Again, I don't think it's a bad idea. And are we imperiled? Well, certainly we are going to be talking at 11 o'clock about the ISIS threat, the sort of redoubled ISIS threat against the West over the Easter weekend. By the way, Taff in Dover says, as you played Ride of the Valkyrie as a bit of info, it is the regimental march of the Parachute Regiment. Did you know that?
I did, actually, yes. I don't know. Why do I know that? It was on something recently.
Because you know everything.
No, yeah, it was one of those things, where, like, an fact follows you around multiple places. Yeah.
I think it's great. Yeah. Now, we were doing, for some reason, I don't know why, politicians' horoscopes. Kemi Badenoch is a Capricorn. And I join her in that. I am too. You may have chores and calls to attend to. Oh, does that mean I don't have to take any calls today? I like taking calls, though.
It says to attend to.
But if you get any chance to cut loose and have some fun, do say yes. Oh, you know what that means, Ratty Chris. Your tasks will still be there when you get back, but your mindsets will be more positive. In love? No. Revive romance and keep a partner guessing. Single? Yes. Your soulmate could seem such a player at first.
Oh.
That's going to put me off. But there you go. So Kemi Badenoch apparently can cut loose and have some fun. No wonder, because she's turned out, apparently, in a poll, which is in the Telegraph today, being our most popular party leader.
Well, yeah, she's been up there for quite a while, but the problem isn't Kemi could be as popular as she likes. The problem is the Tory brand is still one of the most toxic in professional politics.
I like the fact that being popular in Britain means that you're on -9.
Oh, yes, that is, yeah. I mean, it's kind of very funny and very British, but this is the big problem. She's got William Hague syndrome. Everyone goes, oh, wouldn't they be good? But I'm never voting for them. That's where the Tories are. They're back in 1997 or 2001. And until they kind of rehabilitate the brand, it doesn't matter how good Kemi's personal rating is. It's important because, you know, she'll take people with her. But that means now, if she slips up, the Tories are in even more trouble.
But isn't it funny how these star signs are sort of reflecting life?
Yes.
I'm beginning to... I mean, I'm a Christian. I shouldn't be meddling in this pagan
burst
stuff.
into flames by now.
I know, especially not at Easter weekend. I shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
But I'm a bit like, oh...
Yeah, it's because it's how they work. You're writing very broad sentences which are open to interpretation.
Starmer's been silent for too long. Kelly Badenoch can cut loose and forget her chores. And Nigel Farage is on for a day of passion.
Yeah.
There you are.
God knows what Ed Davies is going to be.
Well, we're going to line that one up, aren't we? Right, so let's get our next 2 questions done because we've got to get to the top of the outbreak. According to a nursery rhyme, the Muffin Man lives on which London street?
Yes.
The Muffin Man. There's a great cafe called the Muffin Man near Kensington High Street.
The story of that is not great either.
Which Welsh actor is replacing Richard Osman as the host of TV quiz House of Games? So which Welsh actor is replacing Richard Osman as the host of the TV quiz House of Games? We're going to be bringing you those answers just after this break, and also coming up after the break we are going to be discussing the latest threats from ISIS against the Western world over this Easter weekend. We're going to be joined by Martin Whittock, historian and author, to give us more details on that. Put the kettle on and we'll see you with those answers in just a second.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
If you could see what I could see when I'm cleaning windows.
Lovely. I'm just going to sit here and look at you awkwardly.
This is how I'm going to be stuck in it. This is what I imagine purgatory to be like. This song sat in an Argos queue.
Oh, don't make me laugh.
Sorry.
I've got to keep the,
Yeah.
the Qatar lining in position.
That's what Saudi Arabia says.
Oh, very good. Very good. According to a nursery rhyme, the Muffin Man lives on which London street?
Drury Lane.
Correct. And you were going to give us a factoid about the Muffin Man.
Yes, he's supposedly a serial killer and he used to lure children and he murdered them with
I like
muffins.
the fact the pin came with he was a serial killer. Bing.
Yeah, that's the urban legend. Because I always know it just from Shrek. We goes the Muffin Man. We don't see Shrek. The little gingerbread man.
I've seen it, but I don't.
Yeah.
I think I've seen it.
It's the bit where he's being tortured, and he goes, "Do you know the Muffin Man? She lives on Drury Lane." Okay, I'm not doing that impression again, but there you go. I
think we're just going to have, I'm going to stay silent for the next 2 hours and see what you do and say and sing. It'll be quite fun.
Yeah.
Which Welsh actor is replacing Richard Osman as the host of the TV quiz House of Games?
I thought it was Michael Sheen.
It is Michael Sheen. I'd have gone. See, my guess. I didn't. I would have gone for that one who does "Would I Lie to You?"
Oh,
Uncle Bryn.
Rob
That's
Brydon.
it.
He's too busy presenting everything else.
Yeah, that's because he is he's very used.
Yeah, there's like 3 people who do everything.
Yeah.
I mean, they were bringing back Miranda Hart to do Strictly Come Dancing. She's not been on TV, on the BBC at least, for like 10 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's funny, the BBC especially get obsessed with someone, don't they?
Yes.
At one point, you could tell they were obsessed with Amol Rajan. And I love Amol. I think he's brilliant.
Yeah.
I like that man enormously. And I just like him.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he was doing sort of, making documentaries, doing this interview, hosting the Today programme, University Challenge. I was like, let's change it. Oh, look, it's Amol again. Oh,
yes, and then he's on again, and then on again.
But he is great. He is great. So we'll give him that. So how are you doing? 7 from 8?
Yep, 7 from 8.
Well done. Not bad. And what score have you got to beat? Is it still 16?
16.
Yeah, 16.
Yeah.
The Dream Team, Alex and Barnsley, fab, says the wonderfully named Bob the Seagull.
Oh, Bob. Oh. Now that sounds like either a great superhero or a brilliant pub story.
I love this. Joanna from Salisbury, blaming politicians and horoscopes. I've unleashed something here.
We've done it now.
Trump, Gemini, seeks freedom and spontaneity.
Oh.
Starmer, Virgo, craves stability and order. It's why they don't get on. Farage is Aries, competitive, confident, proactive, often diving headfirst into challenges. That's why he gets on with Trump. Well, here we go. We could probably bring about world peace by just, choosing our politicians based upon star signs.
Well, it's better than most manifestos that come out, if we're being brutally honest, isn't it? There's more detail in a horoscope than there is in most manifestos.
I feel a Libra wouldn't make a good leader.
I don't really know.
Or maybe they take too much time weighing everything up.
My favourite thing to do is when people say they're really into this stuff, and you go, oh, what's my star sign? And then whatever they say, you say, oh, no, I'm this. And you lie. And they go, oh, well, of course you are. I said, well, now you just know it's nonsense.
Probably is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, let's get serious now, folks. Because there's been a chilling news story out today about ISIS. They've been urging followers to set blazes at churches and synagogues around the world over the Easter weekend. They've given an instruction to Muslims everywhere in an ISIS propaganda outlet called Al-Naba. Saying in the face of the tragedy of the closure of the Blessed Al-Aqsa Mosque, because Israel has had to close all mass places of worship, by the way, in Jerusalem, considering that Iranian missiles have been, at least the debris has been landing there. Those who yearn to come to the aid of the site of their prophet's night journey, to rise up and set fire to the Jewish synagogues scattered across America, Europe, Russia, India and elsewhere. The same applies to synagogues in Tunisia, Morocco, the UAE and Syria. Their locations are well known. Their details have been published. Now, I actually wrote a big article on this and reading a brilliant report by a woman called Sarah Adams, who is ex-CIA and an expert on terrorism. And she was essentially suggesting that a lot of the terrorist entities are now forging links.
Yes.
They didn't used to do that. They were sort of against each other, and even suggesting that ISIS were in contact with the Iranian regime, the IRGC. And so I do wonder, if this stuff does connect. But let's speak now to Martin Whittock, historian and author. Welcome to the show, Martin. It's not exactly a surprise that ISIS are saying blow up the places of worship of other religions. It's not a surprise either that they might choose what's going on in the Middle East right now as a provocation for reprisals in their eyes. But where are we with ISIS at the moment? My understanding is a lot of their fighters were locked away in camps in Syria. The regime in Syria has now changed. Those camps are threatened potentially with closure. Could we see a dangerous resurgence?
Well, this is a reminder that although the power of ISIS was curtailed and severely degraded in Syria and in northern Iraq, that it's not gone away. ISIS is something of a franchise. I wrote a bit about them a few years ago in a book called Apocalyptic Politics, because they have this apocalyptic view of both religion and of politics. And ISIS is more of a franchise now in many ways, as in fact Al-Qaeda was in many ways as well, less of a unified group than something of a franchise. We have ISIS groups operating in the Sahel, that's south of the Sahara. We have ISIS groups fighting the Taliban, for example, in Afghanistan. So they are part of this fractious world of terrorism, but they have this reputation for appalling anti-Semitism, for appalling anti-Christianity, but also, what you remember, slaughtering Muslims who didn't fit in with their own particular apocalyptic brand of Islam. And in my study, I have this, and this is a bookmark embroidered by Syrian Christian women who were forced to escape from persecution, death, and sex slavery in Syria after 2011. And I received this at an event to remind me to pray for these people. This letter is an N, which stands for the Arabic Nasrani, which is related to the word Nazarene, which is an Arabic term for Christian. And this letter that you see here was painted on Christians' doors who were slated for slaughter, destruction, or sexual slavery. So we need to remember that ISIS have an appalling record: anti-Jewish, anti-Christian, anti-Yazidi. Remember the Yazidi women who were sex slaves of ISIS? But also we must remember killing large numbers of Muslims as well, who didn't fit their own particular apocalyptic view of Islam. So they've not gone away, much weakened, much degraded. But as I say, think of it more as a franchise, with groups buying into this in a whole range of other places and still causing a great deal of trouble. And what they will see is, they will see what's happening in the Middle East as an opportunity to try to revive their brand. Their brand, of course, is to create what's called a caliphate. Other Muslims would contest this, but many Muslims do not like to use the word Islamic State. They call them Daesh by a different set of initials, because they say you don't speak for Islam, you only speak for one particular type of Islamic approach. To create a caliphate, which they say will unite all of Muslims, whether they like it or not, including by force, and which will eventually take over the world. Now, obviously, that has completely collapsed in Syria and Iraq, but they've not gone away. And so choosing the Easter weekend gives them an opportunity, A, to capitalize on the current turbulence in the Middle East, but it also gives them an opportunity to attack Christians. And this is ironic because, of course, Jesus plays a part in the Quran, known as Prophet Isa. And although Christians and Muslims have very different views of Jesus, and we, of course, believe in his divinity and of his crucifixion and his resurrection, we as Christians believe profoundly that he was really crucified, was really dead, and was raised by God on Easter Day. That although Muslims and Christians have different views and interpretations of Prophet Isa, Jesus, they nevertheless both have this person, this a remarkable person in their belief systems. So the idea of ISIS picking on Christians at Easter to kill is particularly striking, and shows how they've warped their own ideology to a most extraordinary degree.
How at risk do you think the United Kingdom is? Because I have been concerned for quite some time about the fact that looking back at, let's say, 9/11, and that was, of course, Al-Qaeda, but they take their time, they build, they plan, they're strategic, they don't rush into things. And we've had so many people coming into this country, as has most of Europe, from the Middle East, from countries that are actively embroiled within fights against terrorism. We can't be certain who those people are. If I was a terrorist organisation, that's probably the way I'd try and get people into various countries. I've read reports that when some of the boats are crossing the channel, that caches of weapons are put over the side to then later be tracked using GPS and fished out to bring into the country, much like Hamas used to get weapons into Gaza. And I've been concerned for quite a while that the United Kingdom may well be the victim of a mass casualty event. In fact, not just the United Kingdom. I had read in various reports that there is a fear that there could be coordinated mass casualty events, coordinated terror attacks around the entirety of the Western world. How at risk do you think we are? Because I remember, you know, in the aftermath of 9/11, in the aftermath of 7/7, we were constantly being told, well, the terror threat level is this, the terror threat level is that. And it seems to me now that we've sort of become a little bit lackadaisical about it, that we are importing men of fighting age from these nations. They're undocumented. We're clearly not monitoring them closely enough if you look at some of the crimes that they're perpetrating, that some of them are perpetrating. And we know that the ideology of Islamism has not gone anywhere. In fact, we saw that very clearly after the vile, disgusting knife attack in Southport, where there was an Al-Qaeda manual present. How worried are you about the threat to the United Kingdom?
Well, you're right to say that these groups plan, and they plan in the long term. I remember the year after 9/11, people saying, this is the anniversary, what will Al-Qaeda do now? And of course they did nothing, because Al-Qaeda don't work like that. They work with targets of opportunities, they work in the long term. And the same will be true of ISIS and other groups as well. They will be taking a long-term aim, putting people in positions, trying to make sure they're in a position to make the most of opportunities. And so, without a shadow of a doubt, the security services are on heightened alert at the moment. The fact that we don't know very much about that doesn't mean to say that it isn't happening, because whenever there is a heightened crisis in the Middle East particularly, then anybody is under threat, particularly if they are in the target range of groups like Al-Qaeda as was, ISIS as is, or indeed the Iranian regime as it is. So we know that our security services are on very high alert. The tragedy is that the vast majority of people who are on the move from these war zones, from these crisis zones, are innocent asylum seekers and refugees. And I know there's complexities about that, and I fully understand that. But the tragedy is that the vast majority of these men, women and children are innocent people trying to escape horrors. What is tragic is that undoubtedly there will be some people within these communities who have been infiltrated with the aim of carrying out attacks at some time in the future. But we really mustn't tar everybody with the same brush, and we must recognise the fact that the vast majority of people who are in these situations are not subscribers to these ideologies and are not part of the kind of deep cover operations that some of these groups will be operating. Nevertheless, it does mean that we are on a heightened state at the moment, and whenever there's turbulence in the Middle East, there is the potential of real problems. I can remember taking attacks in Brussels, remember the Bataclan in Paris. So a whole range of countries, including our embassies as well and consulates abroad, will be vulnerable at the moment. And no doubt the government has been thinking about this very carefully when pressure has been put upon it to join with the present Trump activities in the Middle East. Yeah. Because what we do need to remember is, whatever we think about that when you do that, you do also make yourself a target as well. And so I know this is complicated and it's about more than just this, but that is certainly something the government will be bearing in mind very much. Are we putting a target on the back of British citizens, for example, in a war that we actually didn't plan and not consulted over the course of it? But you're right to say that we are in a dangerous situation. But I must plead, particularly at Easter time, when we think about the Christ, compassion and love of God, that we are called to compassion for those in desperate need and in desperate circumstances. But at the same time, we need to be clear-eyed as well to recognise there will be other people who will be seeking to utilise these tragedies for their own nefarious ends.
Is there not another risk posed by that sort of mass illegal transit of people, which is funding? Because now illegal trafficking outstrips the illegal drugs trade in terms of the illicit revenue it brings in. And my understanding is terror organisations may have access to that money, may indeed be part of those exoduses in order to line their pockets. Do we know much about how organisations such as ISIS are getting their money?
Well, we certainly know that they tend to diversify. Remember way back when the IRA were the major terror threat to the UK, and how they were also involved in protection rackets, in drug running. It wasn't only political activities. And so these groups are often very, very complicated, but often very, very versatile. There's kind of like an international connectivity between groups in order to raise money and to do this. And these people thrive on uncertainty. You only have to think about how Libya has become a major conduit of people moving from sub-Saharan Africa to Europe since the collapse of the Gaddafi regime in 2011. And one of the real concerns at the moment, amongst many concerns with regard to Iran, is if there is a collapse in Iran. Iran has a population of, let's say, somewhere like 90 million. And then if there's a collapse in Iran, then we are likely to see a movement of peoples out of Iran into the Middle East, tripping off yet another surge of migrants, people escaping from starvation, from terror, from death, and so on. And this is the kind of thing that hasn't yet happened in Iran. But we must remember that any collapse of the Iranian regime that is associated with social collapse, obviously many of us want to see the Iranian regime gone a long time ago, but a collapse that is also associated with social collapse has the very real danger of triggering a massive migration crisis, which could put the kind of crisis that's happened from Syria after 2011 into the shade and could really make it seem like a dress rehearsal of what's coming. So clearly, we do have to take what's happening in the Middle East very, very seriously. But that's why endgames are so important. And what dismays me so much at the moment about the US and Israeli action is I cannot see an endgame at the moment. And I think we should all be saying, what is your endgame? Because the likely outcome could be chaotic as well as tragically violent in terms of warfare.
Martin, thank you ever so much. Chilling, fascinating. Martin Whittock there. Let's talk about this a little bit, Peter, because, I also understand when you've got horrible regimes with people who blight their population, there'll be plenty of people in Afghanistan who hate the Taliban. Afghanistan back in the 1970s wore mini skirts and had cocktail parties. There'll be plenty of people there who are not sympathetic. Same with Syria, same with Iran, same with all of these countries where there is terrorism. But we are sort of faced as a Western nation with the choice, do we try and help the world and in doing so imperil our own people, or do we rather coldly say, I'm sorry, you can't come here because we don't know who we are, we don't trust you, and our foremost priority should be the defence of the realm? Yeah,
I think the thing we have to understand is that we're already at threat, and we were before the migrant crisis, and we were for a very long time. The natural state of the human race is at war. We're a very violent species, and we have to understand that war, and these, he's perfectly right, this is not going away. It's never going away. We have to get into this mentality that people don't want our way of life to exist, and they're willing to put us in the ground to stop us existing.
What about the idea of the end game? Because again, if it's like, well, if we do anything in Iran, we could end up with a mass exodus of people. Well, if we don't do anything about Iran, they could end up with a nuclear weapon.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know which is the sort of, well, the worst choice is Iran with a nuclear weapon, for me, very clearly.
Yeah, I think it's also, we've got to stop thinking in end terms. There isn't an end. This is the thing, because a constant war is what we're going to be in, and is what we've always been in. Because whilst you mentioned Libya, the big one is Syria. The real threat we actually have is the collapse of the prison system in Syria.
Yes.
Where all of these,
well, it's the Kurdish camps in the sort of along the border of Iraq.
5,000 ISIS terrorists seem to have gone missing, which is a bit of a problem. And then also the big one here, when we look at the kind of homegrown stuff about how it affects us here, you've got to have a strong economy. The linkage between economic instability and disparity and radicalisation, no matter whether you're going far left, far right, Islamic or whatever, is inseparable. So you've got to have a strong economy because people don't feel isolated. When you are isolated, you then are you're the perfect specimen to be picked out and to be radicalised and to do horrific things because you feel like you're not part of it. This is why integration is so important. It's not just about us all holding hands and singing Kumbaya. It's so that we all stay safe. And so we all keep an eye on each other and we all feel part of something.
One thing I wish I'd asked Martin was sort of the roots of all of this, because, when we first had the empire, did we have Islamic terrorism? Where did it come from?
Well, yes, Islamic terrorism has been around for a long time. Terrorism is not a new thing.
No.
But it's... Well, we did this classic thing we always do. We academicked it. We made it this, it was originally, it's a use of violence against a civilian population with the end of a political objective. That's the definition, legal definition of terrorism. However, that doesn't apply to Southport. which is why we then had the Wolf Report, which basically said you've got to stop thinking like that. And then the government didn't stop thinking like that. That's the big problem. But it's this idea really that maybe empire might have been one of the things that rather controlled it because there was a unifying thing. Now,
it's interesting.
That's a good idea. I've never thought of that,
because it is interesting. I think that there was a sort of sense that empire did regulate in the British way.
It's also that kind of thing. Everybody's got a big bad guy. When everybody has a big bad guy, you can all work together in one objective. When they all start fighting each other, that is the difference. Because a lot of these conflicts are often religious based, but it's just the different types of the same religion. You know, trying to be the one that ours is better than yours. I mean, Christianity is no better. I mean, look at our nation as proof of that. But yeah, just the thing is, Christianity kind of had its renaissance a couple of 100 years ago, not during the times of nuclear weapons.
Should we do some messages, then take a break, then do our questions, then do a break? Alex, good morning. I'm a lifelong lover of Star Wars and Star Trek. Both have been destroyed by the feminisation of the brands and incredibly wokely written. R.I.P. Entertainment, says Ian Brown.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. I don't mind the new Star Trek stuff, I have to admit, but...
So I didn't like the all-female Ghostbusters. What are you doing?
Yes.
Get that away.
Yeah.
Alex, desk breaker.
I mean, there you go.
That blimmin' plank. I've actually moved it now. This is a weapon of war. That is a weapon of mass destruction. It's a heavy old boy, that.
Yeah. Can I say
keeps trying to take my shins
that's
out.
Sticking. It's not snow leopard anymore. It's desk breaker.
Oh, I forgot snow leopard. I liked snow leopard. Practising for celebrity gladiators. Apparently, Artemis had a broken toilet for a few hours.
Yeah.
Trying not to boldly go where no one can hold it in anymore.
Yeah. It was, yeah.
Very nice.
Ironically, it was also the female who fixed the toilet, and everybody thought that was rather amazing, and I thought, well, that's a bit of a problem.
David Northamptonshire also saying the Drive the Valkyries is a regimental march of the Parachute Regiment, and says thanks for playing it. Thank you ever so much for your service.
Yeah.
Alex, read my message out. OK, I will. I did 15 years in the forces. I wouldn't join now. Also, thank you for your service. I really like that thing in America where they do that.
I wish we did that, actually.
I think it's nice because it you know, instead we've constantly reframe everything. That's a whole different debate. Yeah. I was going to stop. We'll get into it. We'll get into it. We need to take an advert break, and I was about to open up a whole new discussion piece that we're just we won't do it right now. Okay.
It's songs of praise.
Oh yeah, it is. Isn't it? Songs of praise.
How do I know that?
Oh, actually, Tech Up, tomorrow is Easter Sunday. Can I give you a load of nice little bits of hymns we can play out before the advert breaks? Thank you. Yes, Chris, we're doing it. Yeah. Heathen.
This just reminds me of when I was a kid.
Exactly. Because I listened to Christian radio driving around, and Chris was staying with me in Cirencester, and he was singing along to Sign Jesus Shine. So I was like, there you go. Well, did I say Sign Jesus Sign then? As if he's like an expert in BSL.
Yeah.
Anyway, right. In 1854, the Great Western Royal Hotel opened at which London railway station? They do some good munching there. I know it knows it well. And in an alphabetical list of European capitals, which city comes last? I love capitals questions. I love capital cities. Okay, so alphabetical list of European capitals. Which city comes last? Answers just after this.
Brand new for 2026. It's going to be the only way to start your day. It's the home of common sense. It's where the nation can come to speak about the day's news. It's the Jeremy Kyle Breakfast Show. You know who you are. You get up, you graft, you work hard. I'm here for you. We want to hear your side. Promise you one thing. It is where the nation can and will come to talk. The Jeremy Kyle Breakfast Show, weekdays from 6 a.m.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Tension bed. I don't know why I keep saying tension bed when the music plays. It's sort of like, name that tune. Tension bed.
Tension bed. It sounds like a nickname for somebody in the army. You know, back in the day, tension bed. It'd like, you know, like you'd be on like the A-team or something like that.
Tension bed.
Tension bed. Yeah. All right, I went with it.
Well, I've got obsessed with thinking about tension. You like naming things, don't you?
I do.
It's like the time we were like, what is Diego Garcia?
Oh, that's right.
What is... OK, there you go.
What is tension bed?
What is tension bed?
Yeah. Actually, no. Considering when my brain just went, do not ring in with that
Considering
one.
what Nigel Farage's star sign was today, I'm not sure we should be talking about tension beds. Right. Here we go. In 1854, the Great Western Royal Hotel opened at which London railway station?
Is it Paddington?
It is Paddington. Where I basically live most of my life.
I was going to say, you better basically move in.
There's a really good little pub in Paddington. Oh, when are you coming down, Simon?
Oh,
You
yes,
couldn't come
yeah.
last
I
time.
couldn't come last time, so yeah, we'll sort that out.
But there's a great little pub in the station called the Mad Hatter and Bear.
Great name.
I love it. So I arrive at the station early, get a nice glass of Chardonnay. They do a chef's kiss Chardonnay. One of the best Scotch eggs I've ever tasted. You wouldn't expect it from a station pub, but the Scotch eggs in there, runny yolk, succulent meat.
See, I'm having a
So
COVID
good.
flashbacks of, is a Scotch egg a substantial meal? Do you remember that nonsense? Because that's when you could go into the pub, is if you could have a substantial meal. And the big thing in The Guardian and all the BBC was a Scotch egg a substantial meal?
Do you remember when there was the toast sandwich gaze?
Yes. Yeah, that was a very common thing up north.
I've also read, actually, by the way, I love the tension bits, just continue till we get to the next answer as we riff on snacks. I read the other day that apparently Ed Miliband is in talks with the Nudge Unit, that thing still exists, to put out public health messages to encourage us all to enjoy iced tea. Well, because of the energy crisis, we're not going to be able to boil our blimmin' kettles. I'm like, go away. I don't want iced tea.
To be fair, the gays have been ahead on that
weird.
one for quite... Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Are you iced tea mongers?
Yeah, we call it lunch. It used to be a thing where, you know, you're a very angry gay guy, which literally he's iced tea at lunchtime. He's iced coffee or whatever. Yeah.
I mean, iced coffee, I'm a bit more on board with. That's all that Ratty Boy drinks.
Them here.
Ratty doesn't like hot drinks. He's like weird.
I find that bizarre
he's one
concerning.
of those. He's odd. Yeah, you don't like hot drinks.
No, I'm iced lattes through and through, summer and winter.
Yeah, Ed Miliband's going to like you.
Yeah,
summer and winter.
And if you're liked by Ed Miliband, we don't like you.
Exactly.
that's the rule.
You're gone.
That's the rule.
From now on, Periscope Luke is producing the programme. Right. Yeah, there he is. He's behind you now.
Yeah.
Right. In an alphabetical list of European capitals, which city comes last?
I think it's the Vatican.
Incorrect. I actually knew this one because I'm really good on capitals. Zagreb.
Oh.
Yeah. You missed Zagreb. Do you know why I'm very good on this stuff? Here's a little top tip for you folks out there. Have we got any insomniacs?
Oh, I knew him.
Well, we're all insomniacs, aren't we? Oh, he's an insomniac. I'm an insomniac. Who isn't an insomniac? Periscope Luke, apparently. I actually despise people who can just go to sleep, stay asleep, sleep anywhere, have a nap. Oh, I'm a bit tired, might go have a cheeky 30 minutes.
People who just
I feel so refreshed. Who are you?
Yeah, you just get into bed and then can go straight to sleep.
And stay asleep.
Doing?
Sometimes I can go straight to sleep. It's the staying that's hard. Oh, here comes Tommy Tiptoes with the tea. It's like a nursery rhyme.
Yes. Thank
tea
you.
with Tommy Tiptoes. Thank you, darling. But no, when I am struggling to sleep, because usually I've got way too many tabs open in my head.
Yeah,
I'm like a messy laptop
You're trying to work
desktop.
out which one's playing the music.
It's like all of this stuff. I'm like, oh, I've got to do my shopping. Oh, what about that? Oh, we've got an end of year account. I force myself to make alphabetical lists. So I'll pick a subject like cheese, and I'll lie there and try and do the A to Z of cheese, which can be done, apart from X, very difficult letter. X. Always. Sometimes you just have to give yourself a free pass on letters.
Yeah.
Like X is just get rid of it. Not in the alphabet. Or perhaps you could just, sometimes cheat the system by saying X can be the second letter, like Axminster.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
Which probably is a cheese.
Yeah.
I bet you there's an Axminster.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But anyway, how are you doing? So actually, you didn't get that
two
one
wrong.
right.
Two wrong so
Oh my
far.
gosh, 8 out of 10.
Yeah, this has given me like sweats and like PTSD.
Your own record is very much under threat.
It's because I peaked on the first episode. Didn't I? I was too good. I should have undersold it, and then now I've been really good.
We're getting some brilliant messages in today. Shall we go through some?
Yes, go for it.
So we've got a request to take up. Note this down for this Easter weekend.
Taking
Please
requests.
play Holy Forever. I like the fact tomorrow we're chocker full of guests tomorrow. We've got everybody and anybody coming into the studio. We've got an hour of Ben Habib. We've got the brilliant Andrew Gold, who's a dear friend of mine. Who doesn't love Andrew Gold?
I really want to do his show. I love
well, I'll ask him. I want to go back on.
Gold.
I love it. We could go as a double act.
There you go. Yeah.
Except it isn't a comedy routine.
No,
He's
it's
got a
not.
very serious podcast, Andrew Gold. We can't be serious when we're together.
No, we can't. That's the problem.
And then, of course, Weird Hour with Paul Cox. And we're going to have to intersperse all of this with Bible readings and hymns. It's going to be an interesting combo.
Yeah.
It's going to be a medley of magic. But so there we go. We've taken note. To Peter's point of us being a warring species, only the dead know the end of war.
Well, that is presumed if there is
Plato.
no afterlife. Or you go by the Egyptian, death is only the beginning. Which is one of the Egyptian...
Well, the ancient Egyptians.
Yeah. Death is only the beginning.
Have you seen this latest thing? There's going to be, by the way, coming out very soon, that Italian guy who found all the chambers under the pyramids. His name will come to me in a minute. No, it won't, but it will probably pop up tonight when I'm doing my alphabet game. But he is... Biondi? Anyway, he is doing a big press conference because they have done all this sort of sonar scanning underneath the pyramids of Giza and not just found long... vertical chambers with what look like coils wrapped around them, but a vast interconnecting horizontal network of tunnels. I mean, he's going to do a big press conference. Like, do we really know anything about those pyramids? I don't think we do.
No, I always think that the amount that we know about this kind of stuff is actually quite limited. But this is the great thing about technology. As that advances, we learn more about. As we progress forward, we learn more about the past, which I think is quite a nice thing.
I think as well, one thing we all need to be very mindful of as humans, we always think that the era we live in and where we've got to is knowledge, that's it, it's final, it's done. As in, you were talking about COVID earlier and following the science. And, when people were following the science in the dark ages, they thought the Earth was flat. Do you know what I mean? So we've got to be mindful always that our capacity as a human being to understand everything is so tiny and minute, and our knowledge of the world. Did you know we know far more about the universe
than we do about under the sea?
Than under our oceans. We've only explored about 5% of what goes on under our oceans. There could be anything down there.
Yeah, it could stay down there. Have you seen fish? Stay down there. I mean,
who knows what's down there?
Exactly. But
I mean, some people say that there are, alien bases.
Well,
maybe Atlantis, the underwater city, is still
there are
thriving.
a lot of kind of similarities between structures that would civilizations that would have no contact with each other. That I do find
the
interesting.
pyramid thing.
Yeah,
it is very. There is so much. There is so much that we just don't know.
It's funny you say about this kind of that we think this is it that we've peaked. It's the idea of when you read 1984 when it goes and the clock struck 13. It's what Orwell called the constant state of now. That we live in a constant present. There is no future. The past has been rewritten, and there is just we live in this, and therefore everything we understand is literally in a 24-hour cycle, and then it just repeats itself. That's where the line comes from.
Someone's just messaged saying, hi guys, what proof is there that Iran are or was close to bomb-grade nuclear fuel? I was talking to a left-leaning pal, and he reckons, like previous, there is no proof. Okay, so we had a weapons expert on whose job was to surveil the Iranian nuclear program, who said, and this is the guy who was in charge of it, and he said, yes, they were very close. That is enough for me. But equally, the UN has turned around and said, what are you going to do about all that enriched uranium now? So if the UN is saying they've got enriched, Iran themselves were saying that they're close together. I mean, look, there is oodles of proof that that was their intention, that they were getting very close. America had said, we will build your nuclear power stations for you.
Yeah.
Give up the uranium enrichment, and they wouldn't. I mean, what do you think the bunker buster bombs have been doing this whole time? We know that they were close. It isn't a point of contention. It's what all leftists do. Oh, well, in Iraq, there were no weapons of mass destruction. I'm like, they were your people.
Yeah.
Huh? Alistair Campbell and Tony Blair, they were yours.
Yeah. The thing is also, the guest we had on last week, his entire job was to debunk most of the kind of the claims. That he was, he was a big critic of everything. And so therefore, if he's saying, no, that was nonsense, this is right, I'm more inclined to believe him.
And we learned, didn't we, that the people who had been aiding and abetting Iran in their development of nuclear technology and uranium enrichment was a bit of Pakistan, because they have a nuclear weapon, and Germany.
Yeah.
For crying out loud.
To answer your question as to where do most terrorist networks get their money, I'd have a look what's going on in Islamabad. There's a lot of finance runs out of there. It's also one of the reasons that they want to take out Iran, because a lot of money obviously went through there, and Venezuela was a big money laundering black market centre as well.
I would love to have some sort of interconnecting map where we can sort of stand there, like they do at election time, swingometers, and you and I can be like pointing at Venezuela, maritime route to this, arms being sold from here to here, shadow fleet with the oil, that money's gone from there to there, they had a summit, they've done a military exercise together. When you actually piece it all together, it's a constellation of constant terror.
Oh, yeah. You have to understand that a map is not just where countries are, it's the connections between them, and also how you get to one to the other. That's the thing, the way to look at everything.
Who are our mates now? Do we do anything strategic? Because, when Donald Trump came back as president, the very first thing he did was a state visit to Saudi Arabia, which I thought was canny. I thought that was very clever indeed. And what do? We just want to be back in Brussels. It's like, but those people are rubbish.
Yeah. Strategically, obviously, we've still got the security aspect, and our intelligence services are literally keeping us afloat. The market, the finance centre. I'll tell you now, if we ever lose the city, this country's in a lot of trouble. And and the EU is coming for it, by the way. They're coming for it.
I'm in a lot of trouble because Chris has just been saying break for about the last 5 minutes in my ear, and I was just ignoring him. He keeps threatening to just say it out loud on air because I'm so defiant. OK, here we go. The quiz is now going to start getting a little bit more sharp-toothed.
Countdown.
Yeah, very good. Hirundu rustica. Sounds like in fact, being a Susie Dent again. Hirundu rustica is the world's most widespread species of which bird? Hirundu or Hirundo rustica. Sounds like something your boyfriend would cook up, to be honest. Mon Oncle, 1958, was the first feature film by which French director and comedian to be released in colour? So we've got Hirundo rustica is the world's most widespread species of which bird, and Mon Oncle, which means my uncle in French, 1958, was the first feature film by which French director and comedian to be released in colour. Answers coming up just after this. Chris, you're not shouting break the tech off, just me. Ready?
Boom.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Tension, Ben.
Tension, Ben.
We're just going to say that to each other all the time now.
This is going to be our new thing.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, Chris and I got so sort of heartily merry on cider. We invented a whole like weird hand signal set of some sort of weird gang sign between us when we were in the Cotswolds. Yeah, no, we're not doing that one on air, mate. Oh, you want me to? Right, answers first. Hirundo rustica is the world's most widespread species of which bird? If you get this, I'm going to buy you a pint.
It's a pigeon?
No. No. Swallow.
Oh.
Oof. You've got 3 wrong, so you're already down to 17. So if you get one more wrong for the rest of the quiz.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, this is still
that level of pressure.
We're not even halfway. We're just over halfway through.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Okay, Mon Oncle, 1958, was the first feature film by which French director and comedian to be released in colour?
Jacques Tati.
Correct, it was Jacques Tati.
The French were the pioneers of cinema. Pioneers of it. Because it's lenses and photography. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what? When I was in the Cotswolds the other day, I went to my favourite antique shop with Ratty, and
I
and
really wish that was a documentary.
He was nagging me in the antique shop. He kept saying, "Is it a want or is it a need? Is it a want or is it a need?" And I'm like, "It's a need." It was a need. I bought a really old sort of I don't know when it dates from, but a very old projector.
Oh, right.
Looks like a big box, massive lens. It's got a little oil well where you'd actually light a flame.
Wow.
And then you put the sort of film reel in. And I was like, the coal scuttle was a need. I needed somewhere to put my smokeless coal.
Well, exactly.
It was in bags, like compost bags, by the side of my fireplace. It ruined the aesthetic of the room. I got an antique coal scuttle and an antique oil-lit projector. I think it was the sum total of £100.
Right.
I thought that was good going.
Yeah, you paid too much.
Yeah, thank you. Good. Tommy Tiptoes, who knows these things,
don't get me
into
wrong.
stuff like that.
Yeah,
he can name every single member of every European royal family. Oh, and Japanese, all of them, actually. He just knows everything about royalty.
I have to admit, I'm turning into my father, where I'm very much, it's called a dust collector. These kind of like knick-knacky things, and, it's just dust collectors. Because they don't do anything, they're not for any purpose, they just sit there and collect dust. Yeah. I've realised I've become a very grumpy old man and I'm only 35.
My house is full of auditors. Zach Polanski's horoscope, because this is going to segue nice into your rant. He is a Scorpio, apparently, so let's see what's in store for him. You are an instinctive sign, and today the moon's gentle touch doubles this power. So you suss the right chances for you and seize them without looking back. Long-time connections you've hesitated to cut can heal better with a clean break. So do have that conversation. Love is togetherness time, no matter where.
Oh, God. That sounds like they might be making a kind of pact with somebody.
Oh,
there you go. Yeah. I just stop with Zach Polanski is a horror. And don't put the scope on it. Horror. Because this absolute... I'm into my rant now.
Okay, good. Crank it up.
Absolute nonsense of having a 55-mile-per-hour speed limit is not only a kind of craven look, a kind of distraction of, yes, we are still a Green Party, whilst they're talking about, all this nonsense. Like ending the Church of England, they want to end the monarchy, just chaos, not to mention the whole, unholy alliance of the Greens and radical Islam. But you've then also got the economic hit this would cost the country is absolutely astronomical. So this, when you break it down, the 55-mile-per-hour limit on motorways, which is what they're announcing, is basically it would ask your journey time would go up by 27%. That, in terms of freight movements and shipping and getting things around the country, would add such a huge hit onto companies. Most major freight operators have said they would probably have to close. This is the level of what we're at now.
They're crazy.
They're crazy. But my bigger fear is, now they've come out with this, the Labour Party will then shift more to the left to try and out-progress them.
The Labour Party in Wales, who made the whole of Wales basically 20 miles per hour, for crying out loud.
I mean, that is proof of just the catastrophe of it. Also, we don't really need it. In this city, in London, you don't go more than 2 miles an hour anyway, because everything's dug up. It's just
no
chaos.
bridges are open. You can't cross the river.
Yeah, and it is literally the link between transport and economic growth.
If you ever want to
undeniable.
hear the world's most light touch interview? I was listening to the Today programme this morning, as I want to do. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's like sort of morning flagellation.
Yeah.
Gets me in the mood for anger. And they were interviewing the Green Party's deputy leader, and she was just given free rein to say whatever she wants. They've started saying it's the right thing to do as well.
God.
I hate this moralising, proselytising, blimmin' stance, the poise of the left. It makes me sick. But they asked her about this, and she's deputy leader, and she said, well, that's new to me. I've never heard of that. That's new to me. And I'm like, and at least the interviewer went, you are the deputy leader of this party.
Well, she's not. That's the reality.
But also, first of all, like, you know, she's like, I'm not sure if it's policy or not. We're working on various things. Here it goes. The official green transport policy says on major roads outside of built-up areas, the maximum speed limit allowed would be 55 miles per hour. And she said, I've not heard of this. I'm like, so either you don't read the newspapers, you don't prepare for an interview, and you don't know your own policy. And they said, thank you, bye, have a lovely day. You know, enjoy the lanyards. It's just...
Yeah, she was one of the classic ones that, you know, she was all in favour of, you know, migrants coming in, you know, refugees welcome, all this kind of stuff. And then she was very adamant that they weren't going in her constituency.
Oh, was she? Yeah, down
she was.
in
Yeah, she was one of those. Yeah, which I found very, very funny, because I was like, this is the problem. But my thing on this one is we keep attacking the Greens for not being a Green Party anymore. I think this is a kind of, well, we still are that kind of thing, is to kind of move the narrative on from the obsession of the, you know, the kind of the underbelly of the Green Party. I
think it's the Green Party of the sort of Muslim flag.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it's just
like Saudi Arabia. That's green, isn't it?
Yeah, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia. A lot of Muslim countries have that same shade of green.
Yeah, I was on Plank of the Week. We were talking about the Greens quite a lot, actually, and when we were saying that realistically this was always going to happen, because look at Europe. Every Green Party has been infected by the kind of the Islam side of things. Every single one of them throughout Europe.
Well, isn't that what the watermelon sort of represents? The sort of Marxism red, and then the green of Islam.
Yeah,
or something.
Yeah, it's that kind of thing. Yeah, you see it on people's, it's on Twitter, on the X bios and things like that, and it's just like, oh, for God's sake.
I hate it. You know, you can tell when someone's a nut job when they put a load of little emojis after their name. It's like, oh God, this is someone who's used to sew badges onto their backpack.
Yeah, I did see this great study the other day that it's actually been proven that people with multicoloured hair have a higher tendency for mental health problems, and I was like,
wow, who'd have thought?
Exactly.
A bit like in the animal kingdom when black and yellow animals signify danger, that bright blue hair with short fringe signifies nuttiness.
Yeah, someone said to me, we should ban it. I was like, no, because I see them and I know to cross the street.
Exactly. We know who they are. Right, ready for your next questions?
Oh God, here we go.
Okay. It's the extra quiz within the quiz. I don't know either. I like it.
I feel like it's
You can see Tech Up likes it. His face is a picture of pure delight.
some kind of hospital bit? No?
I don't know, but he loves it.
No, I don't know it.
I don't know it either. Right, Ramsay MacDonald became Britain's first Labour Prime Minister in which year? You're usually good at this.
Yes.
In 1801, which Cornish inventor built the Puffing Devil? I like that, Nick. The first passenger-carrying vehicle powered by steam. So, in 1801, which Cornish inventor built the Puffing Devil, the first passenger-carrying vehicle powered by steam? And also, what is that music? Answers coming up after this.
2026. It's going to be the only way to start your day. It's the home of common sense. It's where the nation can come to speak about the day's news. It's the Jeremy Kyle Breakfast Show. You know who you are. You get up, you graft, you work hard. I'm here for you. We want to hear your side. Promise you one thing. It is where the nation can and will come to talk. The Jeremy Kyle Breakfast Show, weekdays from 6 a.m.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Tension bed. Ramsay MacDonald became Britain's first Labour Prime Minister in which year?
1924.
Correct. In 1801, which Cornish inventor built the Puffing Devil, the first passenger-carrying vehicle powered by steam?
I think it's Trevithick. Something like that.
Yeah, Richard Trevithick.
That's the one.
Yes, well
Trevithick.
done.
Yeah.
Well done. Excellent work, can I just say. And also the music that Tekop was playing.
I didn't know that.
Before.
Yeah.
So many messages coming in. We have been absolutely bombarded with people who know this theme music. Apparently it's Howard's Way.
Yeah, I'm not that old.
No, I can't say I know it either. But there you go. Quickly, though, let's have we've got Steve Gill coming up after the break, talking to us about America, about the war in Iran, really, and the hunt to try and find the missing pilot. He is, of course, the former White House official. But let's squeeze in this tiny bit of domestic news if we can. Shabana Mahmood is accused of shocking secrecy over a scheme handing up to £40,000 to failed asylum seeker families to voluntarily leave Britain. I'm not sure why it's shocking secrecy, because I knew about this. This had been reported in the press that she said she was going to do that. And look, I don't like the idea that we are paying people who have come into the country illegally. It has been piloted in lots of other countries. But at the end of the day, if we were to be keeping, family here in a hotel, giving them housing, it would cost significantly more. What do you think about this policy? I mean, look, obviously we should just shut the blimmin' borders in the first place, but given that we haven't and we've got all these people here, is paying people to go the right thing to do? Well, I do. I know exactly where they're coming from with this, because they won't do what's necessary, so this is how they're going to get around it. But the problem is, do you just get to deport and then if you come back, do you get another 40 grand? Because for me, it's a bigger incentive, because £40,000, where these people are coming from, is a significant amount of money. So why would you not take the risk? If anything, all they've done is added another incentive, if not a very big one, because either you get to stay or you get 40k. So, yeah. I mean, she's been accused of secrecy because she is failing to disclose how many asylum seekers' families have accepted the £40,000.
That's the big one.
Quite how many have been given out.
Yeah, because I go back to the super injunction and the Afghan situation, with all that kind of thing. The government has to stop keeping things from the public. See, I think the danger with this policy is less the idea of people take the 40 grand and then come back for more that people will see their mates got 40 grand and go, if we can get into Britain, we can say we're happy to take the 40k and go home. Yeah. Because, I mean, look, I don't know if anyone can Google very quickly what the average salary is in, let's say, Iraq, average annual salary, but that's not even the average annual salary in the UK. The UK's average annual salary is below that threshold. Yeah. So apparently it's £10,000 per head, but to a lot of people, $1,500 US a year. So that's basically about 1,250 quid a year. Yeah. So if you're giving someone £10,000, if you were to make that UK-ish, what's our median salary? Something like 38, 30... It's gone up. It has. I think it's about 37, 36. So if you times that by a factor of around... between 35 and 39. Yeah. So if you times that by a factor of 10, which is what we're essentially doing, if it's £10,000 per head, that'd be the equivalent of me breaking into somewhere and being given almost £380,000 to come home. Yeah. One thing that I think this rather delightfully brings up is the fact that we don't understand what the word poverty means. Oh, I know. It's ridiculous. The fact that if you earn the minimum wage in this country, I think you're in the top 2% in the world or something ridiculous. Music means questions. Oh, yeah. James Chadwick discovered the neutron by bombarding which metallic element with alpha particles?
And which US literary critic coined the term gynocritics in her 1979 essay Toward a Feminist Poetics? James Chadwick discovered the neutron by bombarding which metallic elements with alpha particles? And which US literary critic coined the term gynocritics in her 1979 essay Toward a Feminist Poetics? And name that tune. Or sing it.
Sorry, what is that song?
Well, Tech-Up's counting us down. 4.
Oh, God.
3. We'll see you with the answers just after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
That's because we've got the brilliant Steve Gill coming
Excellent.
up. We are going to be focusing in on America. Before we do that, though, and actually connected to that, the theme music that Tech-Up was playing before the advert break was Dallas.
Yeah. It was one of those things, like, I knew it, but yeah.
Tech-Up is very trigger happy today, isn't he? He's had his Weetabix. Well, we were just doing a music quiz now. I feel like I'm just a passenger on my own show. Tommy Tiptoes is there air punching, as is Luke the Periscope. They're having a party in the gallery. Blimmin' heck. Right, answers. James Chadwick discovered the neutron by bombarding which metallic element?
Beryllium.
Hold on, got to find it here. Oh, I've missed one.
Oh.
It is beryllium, yes. I've missed question 15. I'll have to circle that as we come back to it. And which US literary... Well done for knowing beryllium, by the way.
It was one of the... It led to the Bohr experiments and all the rest of it.
Oh, you're so extremely clever. Which US literary critic coined the term gynocritics in her 1979 essay Toward a Feminist Poetics?
And see, this one, I'm not sure. I think it's Showalter.
Oh, my goodness, you are correct.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have a clue when I actually did
she was
at university. Elaine Showalter.
Yeah, that was Elaine. Yeah, I was like, is it... I couldn't remember her first name.
So you are now still on course for...
Yeah, I'm still on track.
17, still on track.
I'm on par.
You're on par to potentially beat your record, but you do have to get everything else right. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4 questions left.
It's like being back at school and the pressure.
Oh, you say it every week, but you just you excel every week, can I just say? Right, I've got the latest line for you on the war in Iran. Iran's foreign minister has hit out at what he says is misrepresentation by US media. We have never refused to go to Islamabad, he says, referring to the capital of Pakistan. He adds, what we care about are the terms of a conclusive and lasting end to the illegal war that is imposed on us. So we were talking about the efforts being led by regional countries, including Pakistan, to broker a ceasefire between the US and Iran, having reached a stumbling block. So this is the idea that there can be a negotiated settlement. I think a lot of people are now speculating that this is Trump's best option at this stage. And it was reported that Iran didn't want to be part of it, that they didn't want to take part in negotiations. There had also been earlier reports that there had been negotiations.
Yes.
And then it's like, well, no, we weren't there. And it's just all very confusing. But we do live in an information age, and information is part of warfare. But it seems to me what's being suggested now, given that they're saying we care about terms of a concluding and lasting end to the war, is it does seem to me Iran might be counting their stockpiles going, not sure if we can continue doing this, lads.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Well, let's get the opinion of Steve Gill, former White House official, on where this leaves the state of play. Great to have you back on the programme. Always an honour, Steve. We were talking earlier about...
If I'd known you were going to be playing the Dallas theme song, I'd have worn one of my mini cowboy hats.
Oh, I would have loved that.
Yes.
In fact, can you call me Mom? Because I really... I always like Mom. Thank you, Jacob. We are going to be talking about war, though, so, you know. Right. So it seems to be there. And again, you can never take at face value anything that anybody says in a time of war. But if the foreign minister is not being disingenuous, he is saying we've never refused to go to Islamabad, and what he cares about is conclusive and lasting end to the illegal war and the terms of that pact, which to me has slightly changed the game somewhat. We were talking about Trump being stuck in a hard position earlier, the fact that Europe has failed to come to his aid in reopening the Strait of Hormuz. This is having a huge impact, particularly on Europe, but also the increasing attacks on some of America's newfound allies within the Gulf. And Peter and I were discussing as well how once upon a time European leaders used to independently suck up to Donald Trump, but we're concerned about them all getting together and ganging up against him instead. But if Iran are saying, OK, we're ready to sit down and determine, you know, what could work both ways, could that suggest actually that they're at a very weak point and that with a little extra push, the job could be done and the regime could topple? What are your thoughts, Steve?
Well, after the bomb blast last night hitting Tehran hard, knocking out the power sources, hitting those infrastructure sites that President Trump had threatened if they would not open the Straits of Hormuz, I just wonder if this guy is still alive today to be issuing statements. The biggest problem I think we face right now with negotiating any kind of settlement with Iran is who do you negotiate with? Even within their own infrastructure, whenever one of them pops up with something that seems reasonable as opposed to the unreasonable, oh, the U.S. has to withdraw from the Middle East, we're going to continue to develop nuclear weapons, but only at a lower uranium capacity. The stuff they come up with is not even worth discussing. And whenever someone comes up with something that might have some possibility, they get assassinated by their own people, their own hardliners in the country. So I think there's really two problems. One, who do you talk to? Who's still alive to talk to? And if you're talking to someone, do they have the capacity, if they say, yes, we'll agree to this, to implement whatever they say that the Iranians would agree to? So I think, again, when you decapitate a regime like has been done in negotiate a settlement with. So it comes down to, again, raw power driving it to the point where they have no options other than, as President Trump has said, we want surrender.
And talking about the sort of tactics that whoever is left in terms of the IRGC et al., there is a huge scramble now to find the second missing pilot from the downed F-15, because that to them could represent a very powerful negotiating chip. Where is America on this? Is this at the moment it's our biggest headline news in the United Kingdom. We're all following the story avidly. Is there a huge amount of concern in the United States about this? Because Donald Trump, in typical Trumpian style, although true, not particularly tactful, had sort of said, well, look, it's one person and this is a war, essentially.
Well, CENTCOM, the command structure says that both pilots have been recovered and are safe. So I think it's the Iranians that are continuing to shout that we've got him. They said they had both pilots at one point. But I think the Trump administration is saying that both of the F-15 pilots have been secured. So again, in the fog of war, it's kind of hard to tell what's going on.
That is staggering because essentially both of our sort of big legacy broadcasters, Sky News and BBC, I'm looking at the screens now, are running on Iran offering reward for the recovery of the US jet crew. Both of them are saying that, which sort of suggests to me that they're both taking their messages straight from the Iranian regime rather than our closest ally, which is pretty disturbing.
Well, and yesterday I was getting bombarded with calls about early morning hours, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning from Indian networks, CNN, India 18 or whatever it was. And they were gleeful in reporting, well, the war has completely turned because the Iranians have captured these 2 pilots and the war is over now because Iran has won. And American media were also gleeful in, this could really hurt Trump. Keep in mind, and again, I'm not a military expert. I did get to spend time with our troops in Iraq a couple of times during the Iraq War. But keep in mind, we've flown about 18,000 airstrikes. And if, in fact, there is one plane that is brought down, this particular plane, by the way, is 54 years old. If it was mechanical failure, was it shot down? We don't know a lot of the details. But, okay, out of 18,000 air strikes in combat, if you have one plane that goes down, that is a remarkable accomplishment, particularly, again, when you compare every other military conflict in history.
Do you know, I'm glad you said that, Steve, because I have, up until this point, looked at what's gone on in Iran and determined it's been a very successful military campaign. But it has got its fallouts. And again, the Europeans, who I'm increasingly disliking, even though I count myself among them, keep banging on about what is the plan, what do you want to be the outcome, what is the strategy, which I think is an absurd thing to be asking someone to publicise in a time of live war. But there you go. Logic seems to have left our continent a long time ago.
Exactly what time are you going to launch the sneak attack and where? I mean, it is truly bizarre. Perhaps the crazy one right now is some of the European NATO allies are saying, look, we're not going to get involved in this conflict because you haven't given us the timeline of when it's going to end, how much it's going to cost, all these sorts of things. And a lot of U.S. officials are now saying, wait a minute, what's the timeline and what was ever the plan on Ukraine 4 years in when America has contributed hundreds of billions of dollars? So it's a double standard. And the worst news that I've seen, guys, is you have Macron and France talking about wanting to form a new NATO that can contradict and get into conflict with China and the U.S. Okay, guys, it's one thing to say you're not going to help us, that you're an ally we can't count on. Now you want to be an enemy? Let's get that to the discussion table with Trump, Marco Rubio, and J.D. Vance.
It's appalling. It is appalling. This has been the direction of travel, quite frankly, for Europe for a very long time. They've been trying to forge an alliance that's the EU level. Even though we Brexited, Steve, unfortunately, our Prime Minister has signed up to most of those common defence pacts, which will hugely undermine NATO, by the way. So when America's a little less busy with Iran, we'll tell you all about that, and you can ask some pretty serious questions because it is not good. But going back, do you think that there is a fundamental lack of trust now, that perhaps Europe wasn't notified of what America and Israel were planning to do? Because essentially we're compromised, because we have proven ourselves time and again to be cozying up to China, to not doing the things asked of us, such as increasing our defence spending, such as making sure that we're energy sufficient. And when it comes to the residual problems of an Iranian invasion that without doubt American strategists have been pricing in for decades, which would be disruption to the Strait of Hormuz, that affects us because of our own inability to manage our own energy policy. Do you think that it's got to this stage now where, frankly, people in the Pentagon are going, A, there's no point sharing this information with the Europeans, or B, perhaps we don't even trust them?
And yeah, would you leak it if we told you what we were doing, when we're going to do it, and how we're going to do it? I think that the U.S. and NATO were in a tough relationship under the first term of President Trump, when he had to drag many of these nations, as you mentioned, kicking and screaming to pay the 2.5% of their contribution to NATO. Some still aren't even paying that. I think Portugal and Spain are still, pleading poverty. And then Trump dragged them again, kicking and screaming, into a 5% contribution that, again, most of the nations are not paying, the U.S. paying over a half of the contribution. I don't know that we're actually going to see at the end of this that the U.S. will withdraw from NATO, but I think it's pretty doggone certain you're going to have the U.S. diminish the contribution. So instead of us paying maybe 60%, we're going to say, okay, guys, we'll do 30%. You pick up the difference. And by the way, the reason you're able to provide free health care to illegals coming across your borders and housing and everything else is because you're not paying for your defense, because you're adopting these green policies that are eradicating your economy. Fine. We're going to take our money. You guys pick up your own money. And by the way, your constituents aren't going to be happy when they don't get free stuff anymore because you're not paying for your defense.
Look, I agree entirely. I do hope we'll have a change of government more in line with the ideologies of Donald Trump and America. But what I'm hearing increasingly all the time, and it disgusts me, quite frankly, is Sir Keir Starmer's favourite thing to hide behind, which is legality, legality, legality. Is it an illegal war? Was it justified? I think damn right it was justified. I don't want to see a regime like Iran get anywhere near a nuclear weapon. I don't care at what cost actually trying to prevent that comes, because actually the other cost of them having some sort of nuclear intercontinental warhead is too ghastly to think about. But from the American perspective, I'd imagine the Democrats are saying the same thing. If this were to be prosecuted in some sort of international court of law, which quite frankly doesn't mean anything, because I can't hear the Europeans going, well, Iran was breaking the law a bit by, paying for terror proxies to attack cargo ships, et al. But if this were to be sort of, tried in the open air, has it got sound footing? I mean, my opinion doesn't mean anything when it comes to international law, but I kind of think, you don't want Iran having a nuclear weapon. We knew they were developing it. Job done.
Well, and it wasn't just the development of the nuclear weapons that could be launched with their ballistic missiles that they were lying about. Oh, they'll only go 2,000 kilometers. Well, actually, they'll go 4,000 and possibly more, which put London in the target sites. But in addition to a nuclear-tipped ballistic missile, how about a dirty bomb that blows off in Piccadilly Square? How would Keir feel about that? How would he justify, well, we could have stopped it, but we didn't because we just didn't want to let the U.S. Use our air bases to knock it out? So I think that, again, when you look at the objectives that Trump laid out going in and was clearly talking, at least behind the scenes with the European leadership, stop their nuclear weapons development. They kept demanding that they proceed with that. Again, some people are saying, well, they were never intending to do it. Well, you believe everything their propaganda media says, but you're not believing it when they say, yeah, we want to develop nuclear weapons and we're doing it. And if you're developing nuclear power, you're not doing that 300 meters under rock mountains. So again, everything they say has been ridiculous. But let's stop the nukes, stop the development of these ballistic missiles that they've clearly shown are willing to use against their neighbors, much less France, Britain, the U.S. and anybody else. And then finally, as you mentioned, they've been funding the terrorist groups, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis. Let's cut their revenue to the point that they may want to do that, but they can't afford to do that. And I think so those three objectives have been obtained. But Alex, as we've seen so many times in history, winning the peace is harder than winning a war sometimes. And I think that's where we are now is, okay, how do you win the peace? How do you get the Straits of Hormuz, reopened? I think in the last 24 hours, you've seen about 24 ships transit that area. Typically, it's 130, so we're, at about 10% or so. That's going to increasingly open up. But until that flow increases, we're going to continue to see, no pun intended, oil prices hit the flow and be a little bit higher than we'd like. But again, it's short term. It's like Scott Bessent, the Secretary of Treasury, said, 50 days of higher gas prices versus 50 years of not worrying about a nuke. It's a pretty good trade-off.
Look, Steve, I agree with everything you have said. I just want to say on behalf of all of Europe to all of America, I am sorry. I'm so sorry about my continent. I'm so sorry about my Prime Minister. I'm so sorry that we seem to keep getting in your way when you're trying to save the blimmin' world. So thank you ever so much. It's always a pleasure speaking to you. Steve Gill there, former White House official. It's interesting, isn't it? Because everyone we've had on from America, and, you know, Steve Gill's worked for various presidents. He isn't a partisan. But they're very clear-eyed on what they're doing, and I do not understand. And also, can we just reflect as well on the fact that Steve Gill says, well, actually, we've got both of the pilots.
Yeah.
What on earth are they... What is going on that we are running Iranian lines, that there's a bounty out to find these pilots to use as a negotiating chip? And Steve Gill says, well, I think they've now both been recovered, or perhaps maybe this isn't being widely circulated because it's, you know, the Iranians are now on a wild goose chase. They're getting distracted doing that, which might be quite handy. I don't know.
Unfortunately, I think it's worse than that. I think the reason this war is continued and the reason it's going on so long is because of these useful idiots. They're doing they're doing what Iran wants to happen, is to cause the chaos, to cause the divisions, and it's all about adding pressure and pressure and pressure.
To get in Trump's way.
Yeah, and that's the point. It is literally they are trying to strangle the Europe so that badly, so that it kind of puts pressure on America to stop. So basically, they're doing their work. If you keep asking the questions like, "What's the plan? What's this?" You're not helping. You're doing the terrorists favors.
Do you
That's
know
what you're doing.
This is, if you're going to come up with a sort of really horrific analogy for this, imagine it's a court case. I just watched this thing with David Tennant in it on Netflix. Did you watch the end of that, Ratty? That was a great... It was really good, that. But it's all about barristers who represent really terrible people, and they're in competition to make sure this person gets off, even though they're a sort of, you know, mad murderer, basically. And the whole of Europe now seems to be saying, other than a few sound leaders, they seem to keep wanting to say everything about America. Is it legal? Yeah. Should you be doing that? When America's going, guys, seriously, they're going to develop a nuclear weapon that can hit you. It won't hit America, we're too far away, but it could hit you. And they're going, oh, is it legal to, you know, go after Iran? And then at the same time, you know, they're not saying about Iran, do you know what? Stop bombing cargo in the Strait of Hormuz, stop funding terrorism. We haven't banned the IRGC here. Why on earth are we on the side of the Islamists? Why?
It's moral superiority. These people want to run around.
Crazy.
Yeah, they want to run around thinking that they're smarter than everybody else and they're better people. So therefore, you know, well, we're following the law. We're more enlightened than you and all the rest of it. Rather than realising that these people will not be happy till, as we just said, something in Piccadilly Square goes boom. They won't be happy till that happens because that is the only way that they.
And then do you know what? If something in Piccadilly Circus goes boom. Circus, not square. Steve Gill's allowed to get that one. He's American. You're not allowed to just copy. That was... Hold on. Here you go. Oh, spooky, because this goes back to Starmer's... Ooh. This goes back to Starmer's star sign with the cryptic luck draws a circle of squares.
Oh, God.
Remember that?
God.
No, I'm appalled. I am just so confused that there's something funny has happened in the 21st century where the blimmin' obvious and the right thing to do has been flipped. It's been polar switched constantly now in politics, in life, in society. You know, drugging kids who've been brainwashed into thinking they're in the wrong body. It's the right thing to do. You know, should we be bombing Iran? No, it's the wrong thing to do. Everything's just switched around. And I am so confused as to what has happened to make that occur. It's weird.
Liberal bubble syndrome. We don't realise how bad the world actually is. We got very comfortable. We were very, you know, for a time we were quite prosperous. Well, we still are compared to most places. And the second part is we just want to feel better than the next person. We want to show that we're a better person. So therefore, it's not about whether you're right or wrong. It's about beating the other person. So the issue is irrelevant. It literally is my politics make me a better person than you. So therefore, I've got to continue. I've got to back my side, even if I think it might be wrong. You've got to be more wrong on the other side of it. That's what it is. It's the dichotomy, that this or that.
It's the hierarchy of victimhood underneath all of it. Yeah. So if you're not on the side of the kid who thinks they're trans or the Islamist, then probably you're on the wrong side. Yeah. Because in the hierarchy of victimhood, they always sort of beat us.
Bad parenting as well, because nobody told these people no. Nobody told them no when they were kids.
No, exactly.
Prince Harry is a prime example. He's like the archetype of all of this. Nobody ever told this person no, and then therefore any kind of restriction is therefore some kind of offence or it's kind of it's like discrimination. It's not. It's just what you want to talk about. It's nonsense. So yeah, and they don't like it.
They don't like it. No.
And anybody who dares to challenge them, you're kind of unvalidating them. You're making sure that you're erasing them. You're not,
I hate that word validate. I'm putting that in the bin with problematic.
Yeah. It is the whole thing wrong with Western society.
Everything.
Constant need for validation. And if you're not validated, you are therefore being erased. It is victimhood and fragility more than anything else.
Too true.
There's my rant.
Well said, that man. Okay, it is question time.
We're off.
Downton Abbey. Yeah. I miss Downton.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. That was like a happy era when we just looked back at the past going, isn't it lovely?
Yeah, don't remember when they ruined every Boxing Day.
Downton wasn't DEI enough. That's why
they got rid of the dog called ISIS.
I was going to say that dog was called ISIS. That was absolutely hilarious.
They had a tendency to kill off a character. They ruined Boxing Day. So everyone was like, I don't want to watch the Boxing Day one because that's when everybody died.
That's my birthday.
I know, I knew that actually.
And it's also Luke's birthday, by the way, in the gallery. Periscope Luke, also a Boxing Day boy. Love that. Right. Race for the Prize, 1999. And do you realise, 2002, a singles by which US psychedelic rock band? Oof, I don't know that. And I thought that's kind of the era where I actually was engaged with popular culture. Race for the Prize, 1999. And do you realise, 2002, a singles by which US psychedelic rock band? And the 1916 Berlin Olympics were cancelled for what reason? Okay, there you go. We'll be bringing you those answers just after this.
Brand new for 2026. It's going to be the only way to start your day. It's the home of common sense. It's where the nation can come to speak about the day's news. It's the Jeremy Kyle Breakfast Show. You know who you are. You get up, you graft, you work hard. I'm here for you. We want to hear your side. Promise you one thing. It is where the nation can and will come to talk. The Jeremy Kyle Breakfast Show, weekdays from 6 a.m.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Peter.
Yes.
Tension bed.
Oh, tension bed. Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry.
That's what we do now.
All right.
As from today. Okay. Race for the Prize. And do you realise singles by which US psychedelic rock band?
I have no idea.
That was the Flaming Lips.
That sounds painful.
Oh, does that mean you're now on your count of 16?
I am, yeah.
Oh, you've got to get everything right from now on.
Don't say that.
I think this is quite an easy one. I think you can get this. In 1916, the Berlin Olympics were cancelled for what reason?
World War I?
Correct!
See, that's too far down the quiz for it to be that easy.
I know, it's sort of thrown in there like
yeah, he slipped on this, yeah.
Like a trick question.
Yeah.
But there you go. So far you're 16 and there's 2 more to go. Ooh.
It's literally like being back at school under pressure.
Very, very tense. Right, so there you go. Hope you are doing well at home. Let's do some messages, shall we? I've got a lot of messages because they're getting a bit old now, just saying Dallas and Howard's Way.
Yeah.
Right, here we go. Matthew from Cheltenham. Wonderful, Cheltenham. We're utterly fed up with what the government are doing to this country. There are 4 of us in the family. We expect to be paid to leave with £160,000 government-paid incentives, and we're taking our marmalade as well. Oh, that is... I love the fact that war's going on, and one of the biggest headlines has been the fact the EU now want to make us call marmalade citrus marmalade.
Yeah, it is, again, the perfect example of why the European Union is not a serious place. It is not a serious... run by serious people. Like I said, there's a giant oil crisis, energy crisis, a literal war, and they're talking about marmalade. Whilst I'm not a big fan of Paddington Bear and marmalade sandwiches, this is not the time.
Also, can't they just keep their noses out of what we call things?
Yes,
it's marmalade.
Yes, because they want to bring us back into food regulations. So this is why they're doing it.
I don't care if other countries marmalade is something else in other countries.
It has to be called citrus marmalade. Because I'm like, what else do you make marmalade out of?
But this is the thing, when is there ever going to be a situation where, I don't know, I'm over in Hungary and I'm like, do you have marmalade? And then I don't get... I mean, what is this? What is the legislation even for? Who gets confused by this?
I think it's more, look, we're doing something.
It's like when
I can genuinely have no answer to that question. I really
certain products have had to change their name as they've internationalised. Like Jif became Sif.
Sif, yeah.
And I don't know why Jif became Sif, but I think it's because Jif means something in another language that probably isn't okay.
What's the one where it's the store has got a different name here, as in Ireland? Is it? I want to say it's Primark.
It's like Lay's and Walkers. They're the same, aren't they? Are they?
Yes, they are.
And Vauxhall and Opal.
Opal, yeah.
But this is where brands multinational. But why are the EU? It's just such a pointless topic.
I presume it's something to do so they can milk some money out of somebody.
Right.
Or it's literally, again, a bureaucracy to expanding the needs of... bureaucracy expanding to meet the needs of...
Do you know what we never talk about, ever, in this country, and we never have done, the levels of corruption in the EU?
Oh, we never talk about
Everyone was eyes on at that Qatargate scandal because, MEPs were found with actual suitcases full of cash.
Yes, that phrase.
But I'm sorry, but forget the MEPs, and a lot of them are bad enough as it is, but it's the European commissioners, these unelected people on hundreds of thousands of euros who get wined and dined by 30,000 lobbyists, all working for multinational companies. They make Peter Mandelson look like he's sort of, a charity chugger.
Yeah, one of those people on the streets of you.
Yeah, exactly. The amount of cash money they rake in to mess about with legislation. The EU is, whenever you look at, what's the ones who look at corruption, the think tank, not Open Democracy, it's... whatever they're called.
Yes,
the EU just scores so terribly every single time. It is riddled.
Oh yeah, I don't think they've passed their own checks, have they? Since they became the European Union.
And even when they do stuff in plain sight, like during COVID, when the EU had failed to order any vaccines, and we had actually ordered loads, and then they were raiding the warehouses in places like Rotterdam, where they were due to be shipped to the UK. They were threatening to put the border between Ireland and Northern Ireland when they had made a huge noise about that, about the Northern Irish Protocol. They just behave so audaciously, and then the media here just goes, "Oh, aren't they lovely?"
That last bit is why they're never held accountable. There's no accountability to them, so there's no consequence, so they can just do what they want. I do remember sitting here with you when we used to do this previously, when Boris Johnson, in his autobiography, goes on about how he would have sent the SAS in to get the vaccines. He was going to actually legitimately planning to invade. I think it was the Netherlands.
I'm quite sad.
To get our.
Quite sad we never saw that.
Yeah, I think if he did it, he'd still be Prime Minister now.
Would have kept me, that and Joe Wicks would have kept me amply entertained during COVID.
Yeah, but this again, look at what the EU wanted to do to British steel. They wanted to decimate it. And yet we're supposed to think that they're our friends. They're not our friends.
They're not our friends. No. Right, now we have 2 more quiz questions left before we are joined by the brilliant Andy Lowndes to talk about what is going on with Artemis II. But here we go, because one of them, of course, is the picture.
Yes.
Star Wars.
Star Wars, yeah.
One of them is, of course, a picture that I'm going to have to describe, which is always fun. But before that, what did the Italian film director Pier Paolo Pasolini describe as the last sacred ritual of our time? So what did the Italian film director Pier Paolo Pasolini describe as the last sacred ritual of our time? You know that the tension's very high now, tension bed, because you are now, if you know, to
I know.
keep with your record, you've got to get these two. You've got to get these two, so we'll, give you good thinking time over the advert break. Right. Oh, this is easy. I barely have to describe it because the answer, tells itself. But I'm going to give it a crack anyway. Arata Isozaki should not do accented surnames. That was not okay.
Not a good idea.
It just came out. Arata Isozaki. Although they do it on the BBC,
they do it all the
They're
time.
always going back end.
It has a word.
Dullabon.
Yeah, it has a word.
Arata, is it sort of a...
No, it's where you say like Paris instead of Paris.
Yeah.
There's a word where you just... Yeah, I can't remember what it is, but go on.
Well, let's find that one out.
Yes.
During the advert breaks. I like words that I don't know. Arata Isozaki designed the pictured Qatar National Convention Centre in which city? Well, given anyone can only name one city in Qatar.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Oh, hold on. Qatar. If I was on the BBC, I'd say Qatar.
Yeah.
But to describe it, it looks like a big concrete block, an overhanging roof ledge with floor-to-ceiling vertical windows, and in front of that, supporting the overhanging concrete ledge, is rather beautifully crafted concrete branches that look like a big old oak tree. Anyway, Arata Isozaki designed the pictured Qatar National Convention Centre in which city? Answers coming up just after this.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, welcome back. I was just saying, we need the word for that, because I want to know what it is when you say the name of a place in the sort of...
It has a word.
Yeah, in the accent of the origins of the language, or... It'd be a good word to know. If you know it, you've got about 10 minutes to message me, 87222, write the word talk before your text, 03444991000 on WhatsApp, because we finish at 1:45 today. Let's crack on, because we've got Andy Lowndes waiting for us, so let's finish with the quiz answers. Here we go. What did Italian film director Pier Paolo Pasolini describe as the last sacred ritual of our time?
I don't know.
Oh, it's football.
Oh, is it? Oh, well, I would never know that. Ironically, though, my partner texted me in the middle of that saying he knew the answer.
Oh, well, you don't have phone a friend, unfortunately.
No,
Arata Isozaki designed the pictured Qatar National Convention Centre in which city?
Must be Doha.
It is Doha. So you got 15 this week.
15, yeah.
Oh, not your record.
Yeah.
16. Anyway, right, let us move on, because waiting in the wings is the brilliant Andy Lowndes, space expert, no less, because... this amazing mission to the moon. Andy, great to see you. Talk to us about Artemis II. My first big question to you is, we're all very excited by it, watching everyone go to the other side of the moon, getting that first sort of world's biggest selfie. Of course, you know, camera phones weren't even invented the last time we went to the moon. But, I mean, I want you to sort of draw a difference between that trip in the last century and this one today.
Yes, hello, Alex. Yes, the difference is partly the technology we've got now is a superior technology to do it. And in the case of Apollo, when we're going to the moon with Apollo, we were going to achieve the aim of President Kennedy of sending a man to the moon and returning him safely to the Earth. And there was no real long-term goal of what to do. They sort of repeated the same missions over and over again. Once they landed, took soil samples, rock samples, brought them back. And there was no long-term goal of what to do, which is why Richard Nixon sort of stopped the program and started the program of near-Earth operations. This mission is the start of a long-term plan of going to the moon, not just to go around the moon, not just to land and bring some samples back, but to be a permanent base on the moon, so we can do long-term research as a stepping stone then for our exploration through the rest of the solar system. So if you like, this is the stage we always wanted to be at, which we hoped we would be at the late 70s, which never happened, but partly because we didn't really have the technology then, but we do now. And if we hadn't had the space shuttle, we probably could have gone forward to do this kind of work earlier. But that's why we're doing this differently now. We're going to stay, not just to go and come back and say we've achieved it.
What sort of exercises are the crew members doing on board? My understanding is they've been doing sort of drills today, a quieter day today, but they've been doing drills on how you might do CPR in space at zero gravity.
Yes, day 3 was all about CPR. The idea to practice what could happen in an emergency and how to deal with that. There's 4 crew members, so therefore they've got to be trained in first aid, just the same way you and I have probably been trained. Well, I was trained in first aid anyway at work, and if anything went wrong, you had to be able to carry out those activities. They've been practicing that. They've been practicing what to do to make sure that they've got the right materials on board for any emergency that could take place, a medical emergency, and how to deal with it. And that's quite good that they're practicing that to see if it does work. And that's one of the ideas of this mission, is to see how everything works in the thing. I mean, they've had a problem with, as you probably remember, with the toilet straight away, which was a bit of an issue, and they had to. It was a fan apparently inside which had to be removed and reset, which didn't work properly, and then they got it working quite quickly. But that was a good example there that they had a problem on board and they could actually solve it. So you like problems on these training missions or these rehearsals, because then things can be put right. So CPR.
When you flush the toilet in space, where does it go? I know, it's been on my mind.
I'm also so glad you asked that question. I really wanted to know the answer.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked it too, because it is interesting. Yes, in the case of urine will be ejected into space, so it'll be vented. The hard solid material doesn't. That's actually put into a storage facility. So it's sucked down, put into a storage facility. You all use similar toilets to what's used in space if you use them on trains. That vacuum toilet that you use, that's a derivative of toilets that were used on the space shuttle and then used on the International Space Station, because it's a very good system to use.
So why is it that liquid gets expelled and solids get compressed and stored?
It seems, I think there may be an issue here of wanting to examine the material when it comes back, because you can see what absorption the body has taken, how it's processed its food. Is it releasing any chemicals that it needs to keep and is doing it by problem? Just in the same way we examine the material down here on Earth for the same problems. So I think there's going to be an experiment to have a look at that material.
Wow, was it Gillian McKeith who used to do that? Yeah, just thinking about that.
Let's look at the poo.
I mean, what we do know, at least, because I have here, is Artemis II crew menu, is that we might not yet know what's come out. We'll leave the experts, the pooologists, to do that for us. But we do know what's on the menu. I mean, look, when I look at some of these products, are they in sort of powder form, or are they more like airplane meals? Are they sort of whole products? Because there's apparently more than 10 types of beverage: coffee, green tea, mango peach smoothie, chocolate breakfast drink, apple cider. One assumes that's sort of American and it's just apple juice, not the astronauts getting sloshed. And then cashews, almonds, green beans, macaroni cheese, cauliflower, tortillas, breakfast sausage. How is this sort of formatted?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's the same sort of thing. Most greatly dehydrated, and there is a special unit which you can actually plug into, and it can actually hydrate the food for you. So that's really quite important to do that. Can't have little bits floating around the spacecraft because they get into the instruments and would damage the instruments. Although, interestingly enough, on a modern spacecraft, it's much very different from Apollo. I think the surviving Apollo astronauts will look at the menu with great envy and thinking what they had to stick in their mouths and what they had to put down, because it's a much more palatable meals that they're actually got now. But that's based on the work that they've done on the International Space Station over the years.
Now, quickly on that, we've only got like a matter of seconds, really, Andy.
Okay.
But explain to the audience the difference between where the International Space Station is and how far they've gone to get to the moon.
Oh yes, International Space Station orbits 250 miles